Step out. Now, this is case number 157 on the calendar in the matter of Van Blericom versus Wyberny. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Van Blericom, it is your claim that you made a series of small loans to the defendant over a 4-month period, and in addition, you want him to reimburse you for expenses when you were driving him from a halfway house where he was semi-incarcerated to his job when he was on probation. He says that you were friends, that there were never any loans, and he is counterclaiming because he says that when he finished his stint in the halfway house and went back to his girlfriend, you began a series of harassing phone calls, visits, etc., and he's counterclaiming in the amount of $3,500 for that harassment. When and where did you meet the defendant?
At my work. And I met him in June of 2000.
And when did you make the first loan to him?
In February of 2001.
What was that loan for, and tell me how it came about.
We were sitting in my car, and he said, "Can I borrow $60 from you?" We had a relationship. I picked him up every night from work, and then
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And we also met for lunch every day, and he needed some items.
And when was that? On February what?
About February 12th. There's several days.
Well, that's what we're here for. Madam, you come to court. You come to court, you're organized. You can't just come to court and say, I made a series of loans to him. This is the total amount. Thank you very much. My case is now proven.
Correct. How about if I start from the beginning?
No, how about starting where I asked you? When was the first loan that you made to him?
I'm sorry, I don't have the exact dates. I don't have receipts for them. I gave him cash.
I didn't ask you for receipts. I said, when were the loans?
Correct.
I read your complaint very carefully, and you said, when our relationship started, I began writing about it in my journal. I'd write about the normal stuff you write about, including the items that I loaned him.
Correct.
So you say you have a journal.
Okay. Correct, I do. On March 9th, I loaned him $60.
Just a second. What happened to February? February comes before March.
Okay, I'm so sorry. February 6th. He just asked if he could borrow that money to get his car registered. I loaned him $73.
So it's not 60, it's 73.
Correct. On March...
Just a second. Can I see the journal, please?
Sure.
Would it be fair to say, madam, that
Yes,
you
sir.
have no independent recollection of any specific amounts that you gave to him or the circumstances surrounding giving him that money, other than this journal? Would that be fair to say?
That would be fair to say.
Good. I'm just looking through. I'm not reading your diary. I'm looking at what you've highlighted. What you've highlighted, most of it is I just picked him up from work and brought him a pair of Nike pants, but there isn't anything in here that I see so far that talks about, here's one. That looks like March 16th. He borrowed $15. Other than the $15 in the text of your diary, is there any other amount in the text of your diary?
That's all. I wrote it at the back of my journal.
Well, I
everything.
see what you wrote in the back of your diary. You said, Dave owes me.
And then it has the date. Some of them has the date by them. There's 3/19 and...
3/16 was $15, and on 3/19, $7 for junk. And the rest of them, $3 for cigarettes, another $3 for cigarettes, $20 for cigarettes.
And driver's license and registration.
Madam, there is a difference between giving somebody money and making a loan. When you make a loan, you give somebody money, you anticipate that money being returned, you make a payment plan with them, you say, when are you going to return the money?
We did have a payment plan.
What was the payment plan?
He was going to pay me $20 a week when he got out. I'll pay you back. Just keep track of it, and I'll pay you back.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, Your Honor, it doesn't.
Anything sound familiar to you so far?
No, because
does the fact that she would give you money periodically for little odds and ends, does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Okay. So she did give you money. Not a large amount of money. I mean, the whole thing doesn't come to very, very much. It comes to, according to her journal, $288, right?
It could be. I didn't keep track of it.
Well, did you tell her to keep track?
Did I tell her to?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. She knew...
Don't tell me what she knew. What she knew goes to the operation of her mind. You took money from her.
Correct.
Why?
She was giving it.
Well, she wasn't giving it unless you asked her.
But
I need $3 for cigarettes, I need 3 payments,
okay.
I need to register my car, I need my driver's license.
There was no arrangement to pay any of it back. None.
Why?
Because she knew the situation I was in. I didn't have any money. What started as a friendship, Your Honor, turned into a fatal attraction.
Listen to me. I ain't interested. I'm interested in money. You were in a halfway house because you had been arrested. You had been arrested and convicted, and you were serving time in a halfway house.
Correct.
She was schlepping you to and from the halfway house to your job because you had no means of transportation because you had a suspended license. So far, is that correct?
Once in a while.
Once in a while. It's a lot more than once in a while because I have her diary. That she was doing. That doesn't mean
Anybody
she gets paid
can
for
write
that.
anything.
Nah, that's what she... Listen, she took you back and forth. She had conversations with you. That doesn't mean she's going to get any money. Because I don't know if you had an arrangement with regard to paying any of the expenses on the car. You have $288 in cash that you say you gave him, but you're suing him for $950, and the rest of it you claim were miscellaneous expenses, like...
Gas.
Well,
Just
what
gas
kind of,
for the car.
What arrangement did you have with
The
him?
same. It was just the same.
No, I don't believe you. I don't believe that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shauna Van Blaricom says ex-boyfriend David Wyberny owes for loans and rides to work. David says Shauna is a fatal attraction.
I believe you liked him, and you picked him up. You drove him where he had to go, but I don't believe that there was any of an arrangement for you to be reimbursed for your gas and your mileage and the wear and tear on your car. Don't believe it. Okay, let me get to the counterclaim. You have a counterclaim for harassment, which far exceeds her claim. You want to tell me about it?
Well, like I said before, what started as a friendship.
Don't tell me what you think it became, sir. Tell me when it started.
Shortly after I left the RCF.
What's RCF?
Residential Corrections Facility.
When was that?
In May.
And had you been seeing her up until that time?
Off and on as friends.
Okay. But
Okay,
she would pick you up, drop you off, occasionally give you cigarette money, then you get out of the RCF.
Correct.
And?
I quit talking with her because
Why is that?
things got a little deeper. She wanted more, and I couldn't give her more.
Well, if you quit speaking to her, you quit speaking to her immediately when you left RCF?
Yeah,
Where did you go to live?
at my house.
Who else lives there?
My girlfriend.
So you went back to your girlfriend immediately.
Right.
So the plaintiff had served her purpose.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I went home on the weekends too, so it wasn't. I was only down at the RCF during the week.
Did you tell her that you were going back to your girlfriend on the weekends when you weren't there?
Yes, she knew I had a
No,
girlfriend.
don't tell me
and-
what she knew.
Yes, I told her that.
That you were going back to your girlfriend on the
Yes.
weekends. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yes, I did. He told me that he was leaving her and after he received some papers because he owed her money. And when he got those papers that he had paid her off, that he was going to be with me and move in with me.
What kind of papers?
It was from a car dealership he had to pay.
You the girlfriend?
It's in this
Yes, I am.
Step up. Tell me your last name.
Dolan.
Stalin, what kind of money did he owe you?
He had written a check out on my account for a down payment of a truck,
Yes.
and he had been paying it back, but there was no deal to have it paid back.
Just a second. He wrote a check out on your account? And he forged your name?
Yes.
Thank you. Sit down. So he told you once he got that debt paid off so that she wouldn't prosecute him, he would leave her and come back to you. Well, there's some substance to that story, sir, because your girlfriend seems to acknowledge that you forged her name to a check. So that's not a story that the plaintiff is making up out of whole cloth. But you got taken. You got had.
I know.
So that's not a lawsuit. You chalk that up to, I got had. Next time I'm going to, if I have to pick somebody up at a halfway house and drive them to their job, that should be my first clue that this wasn't what my mother had in mind when she said Prince Charming is coming along. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. All right. So now let's hear about the continued harassment after you went back to your girlfriend.
She would call our phone and hang up. I have police reports here.
I'd like to see them, please.
Of 2 incidents.
I'd like to see them.
And in one of them, the officer, girlfriend's work, was harassing her at work to the point where she was trying to get my girlfriend fired from her job and causing problems with my girlfriend's employer.
You lied to the detective who took your initial report, sir. Is that right?
It wasn't a detective, it was a...
Police officer. You lied to the police officer who took your initial report. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So let me gather what's been going on. The plaintiff called you several times at your job. One of the things she did when she called you at your job was to play a phone recording of him indicating that he was, in fact, still calling her. She wanted you to know that you were living with, dating, whatever, somebody who was two-timing you. I see it two-timed her. That's pretty much what it was. Is that right? And the second phone call was someone who you did not know who it was at the other end because they hung up immediately. You assumed it was her. Is that
It
fair?
happened enough times that yes.
That you assumed it was her. And they told you that you could, in fact, have records pulled, etc., but that was never done. Is that right?
No.
Fine. That's what I gather. Your harassment claim is dismissed. As for your claim, madam, I want you to be smart. Chalk it up to experience. Chalk it up to experience. She's with him now.
I understand
You
that.
have to say, good luck.
That's right.
Good luck, and I'm out of here.
That's right.
And I'm lucky to be out of here when I am, because if you want somebody with good character, you don't find them in a halfway house. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Don't be so trusting of everyone. Not everyone is good-hearted.
I think she needs to grow up. She's 34 years old and she should have learned a lesson a long time ago.
Yes, this is case number 477 on the count.
Michael, the defendant is your father, and according to your complaint, when you were 16 or 17, you had a job.
Yes.
Or two jobs.
2, yes.
And you and your dad opened a bank account and deposited your money in the account. The money was all your money. You needed his signature on the account because you were a minor.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a dispute involving your father and your mother, and they're divorced.
Separated.
And your father withdrew all the money from your account.
All of it but $2.51.
And how much money did you have in the account?
Before he withdrew it, I had $1,527.51.
Why did you withdraw your son's money?
$775 I drew out for room and board when he stayed with me for 2 months.
All right, so let's start with the $775 that you withdrew for room and board.
Yes.
When did he live with you?
From June 20th until August 20th.
And how old was your son in June of 2001?
17.
When did he turn 18?
December 11th.
You can't charge him for room and board. You're his father. You're responsible for him.
Ma'am, he was living with his mother at the time, and he came to, with her agreement, came to live with me so he could work. Before June, I was paying child support. And when he came to live with me, I just figured that I was entitled to the child support back.
You figured wrong. You may be entitled to child support back, but not from him.
When this all started out, I acknowledged to him that I was going to do this, and he had
I don't
no-
care what you acknowledge to him. And even if he agreed that he'd pay you room and board, even if he agreed, which he didn't, you can't hold a minor to a contract. I mean, I never heard of something so ridiculous in my life. Your son worked, he put money in the bank, he was saving for, I don't know, college, future, whatever. You decided later to withdraw money because you figured he owed you for room and board. Outrageous! What's next? What's next? $775.
Yes.
Room and board. What else did you take out?
Me and his mother had a dispute on child support that I owed. We went to court about that. And, you know, in order to get a lawyer, I told him I was going to take some money out to pay for their lawyer. That was because of another situation that was going on.
What?
His grades in school, that I was trying to get custody back for him.
Yes.
To make him do better in school.
So?
And I had to get a lawyer in order to do that.
So? You wanted him to pay for the lawyer so that you could get
No, I
custody
did
of
not
him?
want him to pay for the lawyer.
Well, but he did. That's what you just told me. You took money out of his account so that you could pay for a lawyer to get custody of him. Isn't that what you just told me?
Yes, I did.
Well, am I correct? I mean, when you cut through all the baloney, that's what it was.
But I told him I was going to do this in order to file for custody for him.
Well,
and when I told him that, he had no problem with it.
What do you mean he had no problem with it?
He didn't disagree or agree.
Mr. Hubbard, what do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician, ma'am.
Well, let me give you the facts of life, Mr. Hubbard. The facts of life are parents support their children and provide for necessaries for their children until their children reach the age of majority. Then if they're really lucky, the children will take care of themselves. Only if they're really lucky. Most parents take care of their children even after they've reached their majority. They pay for college, they pay for books, they pay for clothes, they pay for trips, they pay for medical, they pay for dental, they pay for orthodontia, they pay for cars, they pay for gas, they pay for dating. When they're 19 and 20 and 21 and 22, and sometimes even until they're 30. You, on the other hand, want your child to pay for himself, for his room and board, as well as for a lawyer for you. Hello? Michael, your father is misguided. You're entitled to your money back, Michael. Now, I assume at this point you and your father aren't getting along too well.
No.
And I assume that it will take some time for that to work itself out, if it ever does. Maybe he understands that he did the wrong thing. Maybe.
May I say something else, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
I got custody of him on December 14th, 99. His grades were falling bad. When I finally got custody of him, I made him do his homework, and his grades came up. And then his mother 9 months later, filed for custody back of him because I was being too hard on him. I was making him do his homework. I was making him tell me where he was all this time, anytime he was out. Well, that's too hard on him as far as she's concerned. So she got custody back of him, and I have his report cards here showing that when he was with me, he was doing better, and now that he's with her, he's completely failing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Michael Hubbard says his father, Ray Hubbard, stole money from his bank account. Ray says he needed the money.
Your job as a parent is to do what is best for your child, to look into...
That's what I was trying to do. I had his interest in heart all the time.
Fine. Let us say I absolutely agree that you felt as if he needed a stronger hand in order to do his work so that he could do well in school, so that he could move on. You felt as if you had to, as a parent, fight for custody so that he would do better. Is that fair? Is that a fair statement, sir?
No, sir. No, ma'am, that's not what I was doing.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, I am, but as far as his mother is concerned, she won't let him grow up.
It doesn't make any difference. Well, you're not listening to me, sir. I said you felt as if you had to do what you did in pursuing custody of him because you felt as if it was in his best interest.
Yes, I still do.
And you still do?
Yes.
Good. He doesn't pay for that. You pay for that. That's a necessary, not for him. That's a legal necessary for you. You as a parent are supposed to do the right thing. You felt in your heart the right thing was that he lived with you. You would be a better parent for him at this stage in his life. Good for you. You pay for it.
I understand that.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,527.51. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
A parent should be more responsible.
It was in the best interest of the child.
A minor shouldn't have to pay for room and board.
I'm going to keep fighting it.
Employee of yours, she no longer works for you. She was terminated by you. It is your claim that while she was working for you, she misappropriated funds from your business. The defendant says she didn't do it. When did she start to work for you?
She started to work for me approximately 4/10 in the year of 2000.
And what was her job?
She was a secretary office manager.
What kind of business do you have?
I have a heating and air conditioning company and a real estate development corporation.
What were her duties?
She would do most of the office management work, write checks, mail letters, type things on the computer, answer the phones, things like that.
When was she terminated?
11/18/01.
Why?
Her annual review was 8/01, and at that time her job duties were lacking in her responsibilities of her job, and she had a poor review at that time. And with that review, I also began noticing that she was having many problems with taking paper, faxing copies of her husband's job resume, and stealing other items.
What other items?
I have some evidence here. We have QuickBooks. She was writing rebate checks to herself so that she could get the checks rebated in her own name.
That is totally untrue.
That's not what you're suing her for.
No, but it's part of the history of the evidence.
Okay. When did you discover that she had used company funds for her own purposes?
In February of the following year.
February of '02. Okay. Let me see proof.
Here's evidence of the order form.
What are these things? Chanel throws, baskets, Pooh honey pot lamp, Pooh prints.
Things that we wouldn't use in the heating company business, ma'am.
Are all of these things bills that are attributed to her?
If you'll notice, the person who placed the order is on the invoice.
Yes.
And they were all ordered by her.
Okay, and you're saying that the items that were ordered
Yes, ma'am.
were not items that you use in your business?
We do not use Chanel pillowcases in heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
And Pooh Bear cups, we don't use those either.
I'd like her to take a look at these, please. Have you ever seen these?
Absolutely. I'm not denying that I didn't order them, but they certainly didn't go home with me.
So you're not denying that you ordered these things?
Correct, ma'am.
And she would order things from this company for your business, but you say not these things.
No, we don't ever use that supplier. There's nothing that we could ever order through them for our
So
company.
you never used these people? All
I
right.
didn't know
Fine.
the company existed.
Ms. Borowski, you ordered them.
Correct, ma'am.
Why?
To the best of my knowledge that I can recall, I must have been asked to order them by Mr. Byer. I did a lot of ordering of a lot of different things. On an occasion that I can recall off the top of my head, I ordered a necklace for his girlfriend's birthday on company funds. There were several things that were ordered through that business that were on company funds. My husband, which was working part-time for the business, in fact, did deliver to Mr. Byer's home. Lots of things would come in and be delivered to the business and would go to his home.
Madam, when somebody asks you in your capacity as office manager, I mean, there are a lot of things here. There's not one or two items. There are a lot of little items. But you would get an order form for these things, correct?
They were all ordered over the internet. In my research and finding out what happened after the fact, I talked to the company. I had them send me copies of the faxes, which I have here, of what happened. She ordered them during the day on the internet at the office because it came to the internet address of our office. And the internet address is Jessica Borowski. And I have that here also.
Not your company.
She used the internet office name Jessica Borowski on our internet at the office.
Why did you do that?
I can't recall ordering anything off of the internet.
Can I see?
And they will not ship unless it's to an office.
These were all done within a relatively short period of time.
Excuse me, they were all ordered the same day. The shipping dates are different. But they were all ordered on one order. And how I found out that I was liable, the bill kept coming for the shipping charges. And at what time, when the bill kept coming, I kept sending the bill to her house. She refused to pay the bill. I saw my company name of GBR on the invoice, so I opened it up and found out that it was billed to me. I called the supplier up to find out what happened. And they told me, well, it was ordered during the day. Your company is responsible for the bill. I said, I never ordered these items. And they said, well, yes, you do, because it came to your company.
Okay, I want you very carefully, Ms. Borowski, to look over these items because they were, in fact, all ordered in November. They are all household items. Hands-free mini phone, an over-the-sink organizer. Clearly somebody was furnishing up a house.
Mr. Byer was building a house at that time. I do have pictures of that.
You don't need these things when you're building a house. These are things that you order when you already have the house built and you're accessorizing the house. So we're not talking about one item in 1 month, then another item another month. We're talking about somebody placing an order for all of these things. So you tell me, Ms. Borowski, why you think that Mr. Byer would pursue this matter since he says, and I believe him, that he didn't get any of these things. But why do you think he would accuse you of doing this?
That I'm not sure why he would accuse me personally. I mean, well, I worked for him, so. But he ordered several things from several different companies all the time that were delivered to the business.
Several and not 35 items, all ordered the same day, all domestic products, Ms. Borowski.
I'm telling you that I mean, those are not mine. Those are not mine.
Go ahead.
I have the coupe de grace here, ma'am. This is a check that she wrote in her own handwriting and signed my name to the bottom of the check register. When she was terminated, the check register came up missing, and I'd like to also submit that there's also several other checks that you can see the difference in the handwriting and the signature on the bottom of the check.
I was authorized to sign checks.
You were authorized to sign checks in whose name?
In his name. If
You were
there,
authorized to sign his name?
he gave me permission to sign checks when things arose that he wasn't able to be at the office to sign a check for something, that I was instructed to sign his name to a check.
Is that right?
She did sign when we were out of the office, sometimes on an occasional basis. I will not deny that. It was with prior approval. Your Honor, I would not order a bunch of gifts for myself or my household and then sue her because I didn't get them, or just to sue her for the money.
So you wrote out a check for all these items and signed his name to it.
I could have wrote that check. I'm not denying that
Let's
fact
take a
at
look.
all, ma'am.
Let's take a look.
Your Honor.
For the exact amount of the order, $676.
I'm not denying that I could have wrote that check.
After she was terminated, Your Honor, the packages came in. If you look from the order shipping dates, the packages came in a staggered amount. She was already terminated. She was no longer there. Her husband came in, Jeff, and picked up the package as they came in. They started strolling in.
You mean he actually came into the place and picked up packages that were
We
marked
called
for
them
her?
to come and pick them up. Yes, that's true. And he picked up, and I didn't know that I had paid for them until February.
I'm not denying that I ordered things from that company, but they certainly weren't anything that was on there. And I have a refund check that was sent to me that I paid for my part, and I overpaid them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeff Byer says he fired Jessica Borowski after he found out she was ordering things off the internet and paying for them with company funds. Jessica says Jeff ordered those items for his girlfriend.
Mr. Byer, is this a company that you ever deal with?
I never knew they existed until I got the billing.
You've gone over all of your back bills from the company to see
I
whether
called
you ever dealt with this particular company, and you did not.
No, I never knew they existed.
And the only order that came in was this order that was shipped on different dates, but all to her attention.
Exactly.
And after she was terminated, you called the house and said, come in, you've got some packages here.
Right.
And he came to pick them up.
Yes, they came in staggered. So we had to call him several times. When the billing kept coming, we kept sending the bill to her, and she refused to pay.
Now she's going to pay judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $676. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was the only employee there handling his finances. There was nobody else to hold responsible.
Evidence in this case shows that she's a pathological liar.
He was wanting to hold me responsible for his mistake of not depositing enough money.
It's a shame that you trust people and you pay them to do a job and then they steal from you.
People should be more careful who they do business with because this guy really is a crook.
Just watch over your shoulder.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gay versus Yaya. Step forward, please.
26-year-old welder Dwayne Gay is suing his ex-fiancée, 26-year-old caretaker Misty Yaya, for slashing his leather couches. Misty says the furniture was half hers. She is countersuing for the cost of a VCR and the return of a car alarm.
Mr. Gay, you and the defendant lived together and you were in a relationship. According to your complaint, she became angry one evening and took a knife and slashed leather sofas that belonged to you.
Yes.
You want her to give you the value of those leather sofas.
Yes.
That's what your claim is. The defendant says that she did, in fact, slash your sofas. Her defense is, first of all, she was angry with good reason, she will tell me about. And second, she said that they weren't just yours, they belonged really to both of you. They were a gift to both of you. She has a counterclaim because she says that when you left, you took a VCR that belonged to her, and there was some sort of an alarm that she paid for that she wants to be compensated for that's in your car or your truck.
My truck.
Okay. How long did you live together?
A year.
Just the two of you?
And her son, her 3-year-old son.
And when did this couch slashing take place?
The first week of June.
First week of June?
Yes.
Oh. Tell me what happened, sir.
3 weeks prior to that, we got into it, we wasn't agreeing, so I decided to move out. In the process of moving out, my mother came over, and she convinced me to give it another shot. So I gave it another shot. 3 weeks later, one night, she went out, and my mother called me, and she was over at my niece's house playing cards, and she was going to leave, and she owed me some money. So she said if I needed my money to come and get it. So I left. I wasn't gone no more than 20 minutes. Her friend called me and told me not to go home, and I was like, why? And she told me that don't go home because Misty sliced up my furniture. So when I got to the door, she was at the door talking on the phone, yelling and screaming. I said, could you open the door? She was like, no, go back with that you were with. And I was like, who you calling? My mother? And she's like, no. I said, well, that's who I was with.
What time was this that you went over to pick up the money from your mother?
About 12:30 that night.
And you were gone for how long, sir?
Less than a half hour.
Okay. Now I'll hear from you.
Okay. This was a Friday, and it was not in June. It was in May.
Could you look at me, please?
I'm sorry. It was in May, the middle of May. And I didn't leave the house until 1:05 in the morning.
Where did you go at 1:05 in the morning?
There was a little girly get-together on the other side of town that we had talked about the night before. The reason why I left so late is because he didn't get back until 12:30.
Where was he until 12:30 at night?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's 12:30. He comes home at 12:30.
Yep.
And you leave at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
To go with some friends. Now, where's your 3-year-old son?
He's at home in the bed sleeping at this time.
So you leave him home
with Dwayne,
your son?
Yes.
And my son.
And his 7-year-old also.
You had a 7-year-old who was staying with you?
8-year-old.
An 8-year-old who was staying with you?
I keep my son on weekends.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I go over to the other side of town. I'm there for about a good 45 minutes. My friend comes in. At that time, it's about 2:45 in the morning. She says, Misty, I saw Dwayne's truck on Bates, a couple streets over from where we live. My first thought is, well, where is my son? So I stop doing whatever it is I'm doing. I drive down Bates. His truck is not on Bates. I go home. My son is sleeping. All the lights are on. TV's on. Nobody's home. His son is sleeping.
Just a minute. Where was he?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So you got home and he wasn't home?
No, he was not there. He was not on Bates.
Just the 2 children were home?
Yes. All the lights on, nobody home. By this time, it's 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I go in my house, me and 2 other people. So I tell one of them, stay here, I'm going to find Dwayne. I go back on Bates. I proceed to knock on doors, look in windows, this and that. Lights are off. Everybody's sleeping. He ain't been there for a minute. So I go home, and in my fit of rage, I cut up the furniture. Now, by this time, it's 4:30. I'm on the phone talking to my cousin, telling her I can't believe he did this, this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's why I was on the phone with when he came to the door. And yes, Judge, those are my exact words, what he just stated to you.
Did you leave those children home alone?
For about a half hour, yes.
I don't care if you left them home for half a second. How dare you leave those children home alone?
Well, Your Honor, she can't complain because she did the same thing that day. And when she left and went to the doctor, I had an appointment. So I left for my friend to pick her up and take her to a doctor's appointment. He went to go pick up her and both of the kids. She told him, no, the kids can stay there by themselves. They were wide awake. This is like 11 o'clock in the morning. So she left the kids there by themselves for like 3 hours before I got home.
Did you leave the children home alone?
I left them there for 1 hour, from 11 to 12. Yes, I did.
I want to tell you something. The 2 of you shouldn't have children. You don't leave a 7 or an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old home alone for a minute. What is wrong with you?
I had to go to the doctor.
I don't care whether you were bleeding from every artery. You take your children with you. You don't leave children home alone. I don't really give a rat's behind about your couches. I'm amazed that you still have your children. Do you still have your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the mother of your child know that you left that child home alone?
Yeah.
If you're listening, I wouldn't let you have my child again if you leave a child home in the middle of the night. And your response to me is, she did the wrong thing, so I could do the wrong thing?
No.
What happens if there's a fire?
Same time that I left them there, Judge, I alerted my downstairs neighbor that they were there.
And you think that's okay? Did you buy these couches?
Yes.
From whom?
My brother.
You have a bill of sale?
Yes.
Let me see it.
And I also have pictures of the furniture, Your Honor.
I don't care about pictures. She says she slashed the couches. Did you ever see this bill of sale before? That his brother sold him a black leather living room set for $1,200?
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, baloney. Take it away.
Never seen it before.
All right, now tell me about this VCR and the car alarm.
I got my income taxes back. We went to Best Buy, bought 3 VCRs and a truck alarm, 5 movies, 5 CDs.
Okay, you bought 3 VCRs?
Yes.
How many did he leave home?
2.
And he took 1?
Yes.
And what about the truck alarm?
He took the alarm when he left.
No, how did you come to purchase the alarm for his car?
He needed it.
So
I
you bought it? Good, so he took it. So, you have the alarm in your truck? And you have 1 VCR?
Yes.
And who's got the cut-up couches?
I do.
Sounds to me as if you deserve each other.
But Your
your
Honor.
case is dismissed. This is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Link versus Booth. Step forward, please.
Business owner Joyce Link is suing her neighbor, carpenter John Booth, for damage to her vehicle. Joyce says a drunken John fell against her van.
Miss Link, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he and a bunch of his drunken friends were coming home one evening and fell on your car or van, causing a dent in the van.
Yes.
Mr. Booth says it wasn't him.
Okay.
So tell me when this happened.
It was on a Saturday night, February 16th, 2002, around 12:31 a.m. in the morning. Me and my husband and children were in our house asleep, and we were awoken by some loud voices outside. So we got up, me and my husband, and looked out our bedroom window, and it was Mr. Booth and 4 of his friends. They were drunk, falling into our van and my next-door neighbor's bushes. And we proceeded to go outside, me and my husband, and I asked them to please get off my vehicle. And the next thing I know, Mr. Booth is yelling about, you know, him and his friends.
No, what was he saying to you, Miss Link? I've heard everything.
He was yelling that we woke my effing neighbors up, and one of his friends had apologized for being on our vehicle. He told me that he was sorry, and Mr. Booth yelled, "Sorry, hell, I fell." I have pictures of my vehicle and my neighbor's bushes that happened that night.
Okay, can I see them?
On the matter, and no one would come to the door, so my husband had wrote a note and taped it to his front door. Then on Monday morning, I was on my way out, and Mr. Booth's wife had approached me.
What was the note? What did the note say?
That they needed to get in touch with us about the damages that was done to our van due to him and his friends being drunk that Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Booth's wife, she seen the damages, and she said that she would let her husband know, and to get an estimate, and the damages would be taken care of.
Did Mr. Booth ever contact you?
Yes, that evening. Again, I was outside, and he approached me, and he apologized for what happened and told me that him and his friends don't remember anything. They were too drunk. Again, he did apologize, and he said to go get an estimate that he would take care of the damages. So I did go get an estimate, and I left it on their door because that's how we were notifying each other. So I did go get the estimate, and I left it taped to his front door.
Okay, Mr. Booth?
So far, everything's semi-right. Yeah, we did go out and get drunk. We got a little carried away. The wife was feeling sick, so we went up to the neighborhood bar so I wouldn't bother her. We were up there partying, got a little carried away, come on home. We were pretty intoxicated, okay, yeah. And when we passed her house, the guy that actually did the damage, him and his girlfriend were lagging behind me. I was already in my driveway when her car got damaged.
Were these people that you were out drinking with, were they men or women?
Both. We were all couples.
Well, not you weren't a couple. Your
No, I
wife
was in front.
Shh. Let me finish, sir. You weren't a couple. Your wife was sick.
Yes.
That means there were 5 of you.
Yes.
And where were these 2 couples going from the bar?
To my house.
What were they going to do in your house?
They're going to spend the night.
So they were invited guests of
Yes.
yours. And you escorted them to the bar?
Mm-hmm.
And then you all got drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were escorting your friends, invitees of yours, back to your home for the purposes of sleeping there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Then I don't give a rat's behind who it was that fell on the van, sir. You're responsible.
Okay,
Okay! That's good. That's what you should have said 3 months ago. Mr. Booth, in the last few months, how much money have you sent them towards the repair of the car?
I don't feel like I sent anything.
What do you mean
I
you don't
didn't do
feel
the
like?
damage.
Didn't you just follow what I said? Didn't you just follow what I said?
Okay, I was escorting him back to the house. He fell into the van.
You were responsible for your guests. If your guests become rowdy, and as a result of their being rowdy, cause damage to the neighbor's property, they don't have to go around and hustle and find out the names and addresses of your guests.
I gave it to her.
You're responsible, and if you feel as if your friends are responsible, you go get the money from them.
I was trying.
Oh, I was trying. What do you do for a living?
I'm a carpenter.
The lowest estimate that you have, Miss Link, is $519.66.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff. If you have friends, you make sure your friends are well taken care of, sir. And if they cause damage, you are responsible. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 108 on the calendar.
Brian.
And what's your first name?
Brian.
And yours?
Mitch.
On your birth certificate.
Mitchell.
Mitchell, I'm not your friend.
Okay.
Mitchell. Now, Miss Gibbs, did you know Brian and Mitchell before this incident?
No, ma'am.
Stand up straight. According to your complaint, Miss Gibbs, you're sitting in your car, and these two idiots were having a fight.
Yes, ma'am.
And they ended up on the hood of your car, causing dents in the hood of your car. You want them to be responsible.
Yes. I was studying for a final.
Sitting in your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Brian and Mitchell say that A, there was no damage to your car, and B, if there was damage to your car, the other one did it.
Okay.
And then we have Brian, who is counterclaiming because he says that because you are vindictive in pursuing this matter, he will probably be expelled from school and wants you to pay for his semester's tuition. That's your counterclaim. Is that
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
Brian?
Yes, ma'am.
Please don't laugh. Please don't laugh at Brian. All right, Miss Gibbs. What was the date of the incident?
May 13, 2002.
What time?
It happened, I'd say, around 1:40.
In the afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did this happen?
This happened in Nassau Community College by B1 in the south parking lot.
Did you see this fight before it ended up on the hood of your car?
I saw it from beginning to end.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw Brian walking towards the school, and he was passing a green Chevy Malibu. And in the green Chevy Malibu, there were two girls and Mitchell. As he was passing, I guess somebody said something. He stopped, turned around, walked back towards the car, got into a confrontation with one of the girls through the passenger window. That's when I saw Mitchell exit the car. Brian began to argue with Mitchell. They got into each other's faces. Brian hit Mitchell, and they began fighting. That's when I saw Brian.
Would you just a second? Would you go over and have a brief word with him?
Sure.
Thank you.
What I need for you to do is I need for you to respect this court. So
Yes,
if you
sir.
would stand up straight.
Yes, sir.
And try to restrict your laughter.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
My man.
We're sorry to disturb you. You have your train of thought?
Yes.
Brian hit Mitchell.
Brian hit Mitchell. They continued fighting. Next thing I know, Mitchell's body is on my car. Brian is on top of Mitchell. I see him hit Mitchell a couple of times. Then Brian completely flees the scene. At that point...
Took off?
Yes. When he took off, I got out of my car, confronted Mitchell, told him, look at the damage that you've done to my car. I want this taken care of. That's when I got the phone number of one of the girls that was in the car with him in the green Malibu. So I can get in touch with him to get the money for my car.
Have pictures of your car?
Yes, I do. I have the police report. I have pictures of my car.
Let me see it all.
The whole time that this was happening, I was on the phone with my boyfriend from the United States Merchant Marine Academy.
Thank you. So it wasn't the hood of your car, it was really the side
It
panel
was
of your
the side front panel of the driver's side, and there were some dents on the hood. And an object couldn't have done that, like me hitting something or something
No.
crashing into my car, because the paint is in perfect shape. There's no scratches or anything.
Okay. Now, Brian, I would like you to tell me, you're passing by this green car, and evidently you wanted to say something to one of the gals in the car. Tell me what you said to her.
Well, actually, what happened was somebody shouted something from the car. There was a laugh. There had been a lot of ridiculing by these people before. It was finals week, and I was going to walk away, but I was under so much pressure from my test. I said, you know, I'm tired of putting up with this. I went back to the car.
What did they say?
They were laughing. Somebody shouted a profanity I'd rather not say. And
You could say it. I've heard everything.
call me a...
Someone in the car.
Yeah.
Male or a female voice?
It sounded like a female voice. So I approached the car, and right away they started denying it, and we mixed words. Mitch got out of the car, and we...
When you say you mixed words, what did you say?
You know what? I can't remember word for word. I maybe, just yelled back and forth. Here's where the true story starts now. He got out of the car, Mitchell. We confronted Elias, my witness. He was involved, too, although she never even remembers him being there, so I don't know which fight she was watching.
Which actually I don't.
Elias comes up, he tries to break us up. At the time, there was really going to be no confrontation. What happened was, Mitchell, I don't know, went to push me away a little bit, and I made contact with him. At that time, he turned around, he went to his car, he grabbed what was an ice cleaner, you know, one of those brush stick ice cleaners, and he came at me to hit me. Elias tried to grab him to stop him. I tried to grab the stick. That's when we got into a scuffle, which lasted about 20 seconds, maybe 25 seconds. I never threw the first punch. I never ever put Mitch on top of the car. And after the thing, I did not flee the scene right away. We walked away, we calmed down. I left the school so there would be no further problems. I never even seen her there. I never saw a car get hit by anybody. I wasn't on a car. I surely didn't put him on a car. I didn't punch him first.
Now we'll hear from you.
Well, I was in the car, the girls, and we were laughing, just waiting for class to end, just hanging out in the car. And Brian had walked by. I don't know if they made a direct statement towards him, but he took it that way, came to the car, started telling the girls he's gonna strangle them or just do it, being a bully. And he asked me if I had a problem. I said, no, I got no problem. So he told me to get out the car. I got out the car to try to tell him, relax, we don't need to fight. You're 25, I'm 20 years old, there's no need for this. And he headbutts me. So I fight back, and then as I'm fighting back, his friend comes in. They say they broke it up, but where I come from, if you get into a fight, one-on-one, and the other person's friend grabs me, I think, it's a two-on-one. Then I went back to the car, got a shovel, a scraper to defend myself, because he's a pretty big guy, little guy, got his friend with him. I'm with two girls. I struck him with it, I had to do what I had to do. And then we had a little scuffle, this and that. I don't know if we dented the girl's car or if it was done like that already, but she had confronted me saying this happened, and if it did happen, then I'll take care of it, but if not, then I don't really think we did that damage.
Now I'd like to hear about your counterclaim.
Yeah. Up to this point, I have no previous record. I have no arrest record. My academic record is stellar. Made the dean's list the past 2 years. I'm too old to be getting involved in frivolous encounters. She tells the dean, and her story has so many holes in it, it's hard for me to even sit there and listen to it. And now because of this, my records are impounded, so I can't transfer schools. The least I'm going to get is academic probation, which ruins my scholarship chances, which I have plenty of. And at most, I'm getting expelled. So I'm going to lose a half semester of my life for this, for a false statement, because I know absolutely 100% I did not dent her car.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. You know one thing. You know when you were passing the green car and somebody called you a...
Yes, I know that
you should have kept walking.
I should have. But
right.
You wanna...
That, you know.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
At the moment when these two were...
Look right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know, Brian was just a little upset at
Look at me.
And later today...
I said I will definitely honor our initial agreement. I don't in any way want to...
Stick you.
Right. She started to get really upset.
Well, just show me the rest of the payments that you made.
That's the only payment that I made.
Why?
That's
Why?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. College student Eloisa Gibbs says her car was damaged during a fight between schoolmates Brian Mbemba and Mitch Seiden. Brian and Mitch are blaming each other.
So you're dealing with a couple of girls, 19, 20-year-old, big mouths.
Yes.
Right? Who call you a name. You're not a are you?
Constantly, absolutely not.
All right. So that you knew it wasn't true when they called you that bad name.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So you keep on walking.
I understand.
You keep on walking. That you know for sure. Then we go back to the police report. Police interviewed witnesses who stated that Mitch Seiden was the person who exited the vehicle to fight, and that they did, in fact, fall on the complainant's vehicle.
Okay.
Independent witness, not her. You had no vendetta against her. She doesn't even know who you are.
Absolutely. But
Why in the world?
I see this as an opportunity to make money off of something that was already there. Hey,
Oh,
look,
really?
fight, opportunity. Let's make these guys pay for my damage.
My boyfriend saw my car prior to me going to school and knows there was no damage
Miss
to my
Gibbs,
car.
Miss Gibbs, you need not answer him. Now, in all fairness to you, Brian, you have a witness here. I will hear the witness.
Thank you.
Who wants to stand up and be counted?
I'll stand up, Your Honor. At the moment when these two were...
Look right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. When these two were all fighting, there was no force against any car. Nobody fell on any car. There was no need for her to explain the car dent. There was these people right here didn't cause.
Brian was walking by himself past the green car. Where did you come from?
I came back with him.
Just a minute. Brian is walking past the
Brian
green
walked
car.
past the car, and then I see him turn around and walk back to the car. I tried to catch up to him to see what his problem was. When I went up to the car, and he was trying to ask the girls who were calling him a name or or something. Mitch stepped out of the car and told Brian that it wasn't him. I don't know, Brian was just a little upset about the girls laughing at him or calling him a name. So
Look at me!
These two started to fight a little, but I didn't see them fall on any car nor cause a dent to any car at all.
Thank you very much for your participation.
You're welcome.
Ryan, your counterclaim is dismissed. It's nonsense.
Okay,
And as
thank you.
far as the damage to the plaintiff's car, there isn't a question in my mind that the two of you caused the damage to the car. You should have kept on walking past the green car. And Mitch, you shouldn't have gotten out of the green car.
And I just try to calm him down.
You shouldn't have gotten out of the green car. Whatever the situation was, the two of you were responsible for her damage. So, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $870 to be shared by the two defendants, and the counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If I dented the car, I must have been blacked out during the time because I can't recall it at all.
I believe that Judge Judy made the right decision.
Whatever happened, happened. Whatever the way the case went, it went. Everything works out the way it does.
If you know you didn't do anything wrong, make sure you got it right.
Stay in your house, lock your doors, and don't go outside so you don't get sued.
And now,
Your Honor, this is case number 25 on the calendar in the matter of Ramirez.
I'd like you to sit down, sir.
Thank you.
You and the defendant have two children together.
Yes.
Were you ever married?
No.
But you are now married to this gentleman.
Yes.
Your claim is that because of false charges that Mr. Garza filed against you, you were forced to incur substantial legal fees and debts. False charges with regard to child abuse. He filed those complaints with Child Protective Services. And you want him to reimburse you for all of the expenses that you incurred as a result of these false charges. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Garza says that he merely reported what he saw and what his children told him. Right now I'm going to need a time frame. When did you and Mr. Garza separate?
I believe it was in 99.
And how old are your two children?
6 and 4.
So they were really tiny. They were a year
Yes.
old and 3 years old.
About 3 years old.
When did you remarry?
December 16th of 2000.
And when was the first report of child abuse?
Back in 2000.
When in 2000?
In August of 2000.
All right, so let me go to Mr. Garza. Mr. Garza, when did you first make a complaint to Child Protective Services?
It was back in August 2000.
And what was the nature of that complaint?
Well, pretty much child abuse. My kids were talking about how their stepdad would, slap them or hit them or, in that nature. I have papers here from the Child Protective Services.
From August?
From May of 2001.
Well, let me take a look at it, please.
I also have...
I see various letters. In some of the letters it says that they determined back in May of 2001 that the family, that is your family, does require our service at this time. I don't know whether they spoke to the children or not. So what you're telling me is in August, one of your children, probably the older one, was telling me that they were hit, but hit by the stepfather. And you reported that.
Yes.
What was the next report?
Well, after that, my youngest son, Isaiah, he came over and he went to the bathroom, and when he was urinating, he has a habit of he'll drop his pants down to his knees, and I noticed some bruises on his buttocks. And he had said that some ants had bit him. He was afraid to say it, so he had said that some ants had bit him. Finally, he came out and said that, that stepdad had, hit him with the black sandal, There was some bruises on there.
And did you make a report at that time?
Yes,
You
I have
that report.
medical reports from that, from the physician that saw him.
Can I see the report, please?
Yes.
Now you can stand up, Mr. Ramirez. Well, this second report was called in by the hospital, according to the doctor's notes, because the doctor found bruising noted to both buttocks on the child. Okay. Mr. Ramirez, did you, back sometime in 2001, hit one of the children, the older child, on the behind?
Isaiah, the smallest children, he was going through a lot of problems at daycare concerning when he would come back from his father's house. We tried disciplining him with timeouts, taking toys away from him, name it. It got to the point where we couldn't take it anymore. They didn't want him at the daycare. Took him home. I spoke to him. I spanked him. Next thing you know, I'm getting arrested because his father put charges on me. I got a paper here stating that...
No, I'm not finished yet. You spoke to him, and how old was he at the time?
He was 3.
3. So he was 3 years old.
The daycare was getting ready to kick him out because they didn't want him there
He was
anymore.
3. I'm speaking. He was 3 years old. So you spanked him.
Yeah.
With what?
With a belt, ma'am.
With a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
On his buttocks?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to attend any classes, Mr. Ramirez, as a result of this investigation?
No, we had a homemaker come and give us parenting classes.
Well, that's parenting classes.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to have services as a result.
Yes, ma'am, but from an hour and a half classes, it dropped down to 20 hours because the homemaker found it wasn't necessary, that we didn't need those classes.
Well, you do need the classes. If you think that it's appropriate to beat a 3-year-old with a belt, causing bruises sufficient to be noted by a hospital, then you need a lot of parenting classes, more than an hour and a half. 3-year-old child who was going through a state of mother, father, new father, visiting one, there's a certain amount of acting out behavior. What you don't do is you don't use an instrument ever on a child, ever. You used a belt on a 3-year-old. That is unacceptable, period. End of discussion. It's unacceptable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
Spanked, not abused.
Beat. Abused. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck.
And later today,
Miss Jones, you were trying to get over on the system, madam.
No,
That's
I
what
wasn't
happened.
trying to get over on
Sure
the
you
system,
were.
Judge Judy, because when I called there, they told me, don't bring the ticket yourself, or we're going to take the money.
I wish you had the name of that person who told you that. I think that you probably ought to sue them.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Miss Ramirez, I don't have to go through this whole case anymore. I have just solved this whole case. You are suing for filing false charges against you. False charges of
Actually, the
abuse?
false charges and the custody hearing that we actually went through for the past 2 years.
Well, why do you think you would be entitled to legal fees from him for a custody hearing?
He sued me for custody of the children because of that incident.
Yes.
We went through about 2 years of a custody battle. It got to the point to where he decided he didn't want custody of the children anymore.
So?
He wanted me to agree not to move out of the city we were living in, and he wouldn't fight for custody. He wanted a social study done. We had the social study done. The lady came to the house. She did interviews on both of us. She did interviews on the children. In the social study that I have with me, she states that he seems lovable with the children. The children are lovable with him. She didn't see any problems with the family together. She felt that the children should stay living with me.
So?
We went to court. He had moved to Corpus because he was living in Corpus already working. He was away from us about 3 months. He put temporary orders on us not to leave the county. The judge spoke to the children to see whether they felt safe enough to move out of town with me to Corpus with him, or if they wanted to stay in Harlingen with their biological father. The children stated to the judge that they wanted to leave to Corpus with us.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know who this judge was who interviews a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old to make a determination as to where they want to live. I never did that with a 4-year-old. Where would you like to live? With your mommy or with your daddy?
We also have him right
Anna.
here. He states that he has evidence that there was abuse.
There was abuse.
When?
Period. There was abuse. I'm finding right here that there was abuse. And you have no case to sue him for filing false allegations of abuse. Your husband abused your 3-year-old. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck. That's what you should have done. And I don't know what other issues the defendant has with you. However, any father who would not at that point fight for custody would be neglectful. So he had an absolute obligation to file for custody of his 2 children. And then the thing dragged along for 2 years because this judge had to wait until the kids were 4 and 6 in order to interview them.
No, it didn't drag on that long. It dragged on that long because he kept putting it off.
Maybe. But I don't care what the social worker said. I want to tell you something. I don't care what the social worker said. It is irrelevant to me. The mother's husband beat the children, but the children seem happy and safe with the mother. Father never beat the children, so we think that the children should stay. We think the children should stay with the mother. I mean, I don't understand a report like that. In any event, I'm not having to decide that case now. All I have to decide is whether or not he should be responsible for the cost of all of your legal fees as a result of fighting both his custody case and the case that he filed and the orders that he requested, preventing you from moving out of the jurisdiction, relocating.
I also have a letter here from the police department where they took the children to the police department, and the police even put in here where they were trying to bribe the children to tell the police that they were being slapped.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. What do I care about the police report? Your husband looked at me. I asked him a question. He answered my question. He beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
I spanked him, not abused him.
Beat. Abused. 3-year-old, belt, abuse. That's it. Marks from a belt on a 3-year-old is abuse. That's not neglectful. That's not neglectful. Neglectful is if you don't give him a hot lunch. Neglectful is not when you beat a 3-year-old with an instrument. So you are not entitled to the return of any of your legal fees matter.
In the Penal Code, Section 961 states that the state declines prosecution in this case. The defendant is allowed to use forceful to reasonably discipline a child under Section 9.61 of the Penal Code, and there is insufficient evidence to show any other intent by the defendant. That's
I
how my
hope
kids
you
got
feel
dismissed.
better. If you appeared before me and you said to me, I lost my temper once and I hit him with a belt.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Wait, that's not what you're saying.
No, you asked me.
No. I lost my temper once and I hit him with a belt, and it will never happen again because that's not me. I know that's not the way you're supposed to discipline children. But what you just read to me, sir, was an indication that you believe that this is an appropriate way of disciplining children.
No, it's not, ma'am.
It better not be.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Let me tell you something. You're not going to get the money from him. Why? He signed me a promissory note stating...
I don't care if he signed you the Declaration of Independence. Courts do not help you when you try to scam the system.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Ms. Ramirez, you have no case. The defendant did exactly what he should have done as a father by reporting what he saw. He did exactly what he should have done as a father by fighting for custody. He did exactly what he should have done by trying to prevent you from leaving the jurisdiction and relocating. And if he lost on all those counts, that's very unfortunate. But he had not only the right, but the obligation to do it. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think it went right.
Worked out good, I guess.
His false police reports, taking the children to the police department, filing false reports. I have all of that documented, all the false reports that he made.
Nothing else better to do, I guess.
I even have the reports where the police say that they were trying to bribe the children by telling them they would give them things if they said this.
As soon as I saw, bruises going on, I knew I had to get in and do something.
My children see him as their father.
They're little, 3 and 5,
So that shows what type of biological father their father really is.
He's never around.
No, I've been involved with their lives all the time.
I might have used excessive force, which I regret doing it.
Let the real parents do the discipline, not the step parents.
Be careful who you get involved with.
Go back to my country club and eat a po' boy sandwich.
Case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Jones. Step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Jennifer Jones is suing her mother, business owner Helen Jones, for the return of personal property, harassment, and for the cost of new car tires. Helen is countersuing for the cost of a refrigerator and damages to her mobile home.
I've read your complaints very carefully. Ms. Jones, the defendant is your mother.
Right.
And according to what I gather from your complaint, your parents are in the process of getting a divorce.
Right.
How many years have you been married?
24.
During the course of the divorce, according to you, you sort of sided with your father.
Right.
You were living in a house, and who owned the house?
Her and my father.
You were living there with child?
Right.
And a boyfriend?
Right.
According to your complaint, you left the house, and without your permission, your mother came in and took some property that you say belongs to you.
Right.
Mother says you abandoned the house. She went in, she took property that was there, some of which she had given to your child, and she is counterclaiming. She says that you left the house in deplorable condition. She has to buy a new refrigerator and other damages. You also claim that your mother slashed your tires and is engaged in a course of harassing behavior.
Yes.
When did you move into her house?
It is March of 2001.
And who was living there at the time?
Me and my son when we first moved there.
And how long did you and your son live there alone?
About 2.5 months.
And then who moved in?
My ex-boyfriend.
And how long did you, your son, and your ex-boyfriend live there?
Until March of 2002.
What happened in March of 2002?
I left and had moved to Carthage with a current boyfriend.
Okay, so you left the old boyfriend.
Right.
Now, when you left the old boyfriend, was he living in the house at the time?
No, he moved out before I moved.
When did he move out?
About 2 months prior to that.
What date in March of 2002 did you leave the house?
It was approximately the second week of March.
Now, when do you allege that your mother came in and took property?
I noticed the property gone on April 8th. I went in, there had been a computer missing.
So 3 weeks after you moved out?
Right. I didn't even actually move out. All of my things were still there. I had just been staying with a boyfriend because
Why?
of all the harassment and everything I was getting there at the home.
All right. And what items do you claim that your mother came in and took that belongs to you?
She had called me the day before Easter and told me that she was going to get a swing set out of my backyard, and I okayed that. She then called me the day after Easter and told me she had went into the house, which she had no keys to, and took a children's four-wheeler and a wagon out of the building.
But she took those things. Is those the things you want back?
Well, and then when I got there were several other things missing also.
Like what?
There was a compact computer. There was a brand new Kenmore
Whose
dishwasher.
computer was it?
It was mine.
I have proof where it was Clinton Todd's.
Well, I have the statement that he signed and give to me that he give that to me.
What else?
A Kenmore dishwasher. There was a race car collection, a deep freezer, and all the rest of the
Well, we're
items
talking
that
about
went
months later, Miss Jones. If you moved out and you're living with a new boyfriend, is this a new boyfriend?
Yes.
Well, you can't just leave it there.
I left the things there. My father was staying there with me, and I left the things there for him to use until I got another place.
So there was somebody else living in the house?
Right. He was staying there on the weekends.
Somebody else who had access to the house?
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Now, you acknowledge, Miss Jones, that you took the swing set, the bike, and the wagon.
Yes, that's all I took.
And that was, you say, because?
I paid for it. It was to stay there. She met this guy on internet. He is married and he has 4 kids. I didn't buy it for his kids. I bought it for my grandson. They were to stay there whenever if she ever moved out, and she wanted to take them, and I said no.
That's not true.
Well, you didn't give them to her. You gave them to your grandson.
Right.
It's the wrong thing to do, because I know, I have grandchildren, so I know you didn't say to your grandson when you gave him the red wagon or when you gave him the bike, you can have these as long as your mother is living here and doesn't move away to live with somebody else. You didn't say that to him.
No, the reason why I put that in because she has bounced from home to home, from boyfriend to boyfriend.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Jones claims her mother, Helen Jones, burglarized her home and slashed her tires. Helen says she entered the trailer because Jennifer abandoned it.
Now, your grandson's got to have his swing set back and his bike and his wagon because those things belong to him.
Well, the reason why that I had took them, we went to the mobile home, the back door was standing wide open. That's why I took the things, because I didn't want nobody to take the things.
Okay, so at this point, those things are going to have to go back to your grandson.
Okay.
But your mother says she doesn't have anything else, Miss Jones. What proof do you have that she took those things?
There was a statement filed with the police department there where they had retrieved some of the items that her son had went in and stolen from me, that he had stolen even some of her things that she had loaned me out of the house.
Just a second. What proof do you have that your mother took any of those things?
Nobody else had access to the house.
That's not true. Your father did.
The door's standing wide open.
Just a second. Your father did.
Right.
He had a key to the home, right?
Right.
You said your mother didn't have a key.
Right.
May I add something?
Who are you?
I'm the boyfriend.
Well,
and a
step
witness.
up if you have something important to add, but just make sure it's important. What's your name?
My name's Mark. The thing with her father, there's an ex parte between her father and her mother at this time. And so he would stay at the home on the weekends as long as he could until the harassment got so bad. And the harassment was so bad and stuff that her dad found another place to stay when he was in at different times, kind of just staying with who he could to try to make peace through this divorce that they're going through.
So far, I don't hear much from you, sir. Just a lot of
well, okay,
chatter.
but when we were there,
Yeah.
there was a phone call placed by her mother, and her mother were in a pretty good argument.
Just a second. Her mother called and said she wanted to go take the swing set.
Right.
So she
but-
called you and asked you if she could take the swing set, and you said
Only
okay.
the swing set, right.
Okay, but you said okay. So
Right.
she didn't not ask you if she could take the swing
Right.
set. She just made the phone call, got your permission. Listen, get to the facts. I have a very busy calendar.
Okay. And she has some pictures here that shows a lot of the damage to the yard and to the shed, and the damage to the back door was not there the week that we went there. But the only way she would have had to go into the house would be to tear up the back door.
Well, I don't know that.
And
She
that's
says she
what-
found the door off the hinges. Isn't
The
that
door
right?
was
That's
wide
what you.
open. It wasn't off of the hinges. It was left wide open.
And there's a police report that states the door was pried
Right,
open
it was pried
and
open.
hanging.
Maybe your ex-boyfriend came back. Maybe your ex-boyfriend wasn't happy that he left you the computer when he found out that you had taken off a couple of weeks later with somebody else. There are a lot of people who had the opportunity either to go into your house or to break into the house. It's not your house, the house. And all I'm asking you for is proof that it was your mother. Do you have any?
Other than that, she just told me she is the one that went in there and took some items.
She acknowledged she took 3 things. Is that right?
Right.
Did she ever acknowledge she took the computer?
No.
She ever acknowledged she took the dishwasher? No. She ever acknowledged she took the race car collection?
No.
How old are you?
21.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Is the person that you were living with in the house that child's father?
No.
This man certainly isn't the child's father.
No.
Is that right?
Right.
Listen, you have a child. That child is entitled to have a certain amount of stability. Is entitled not to go from one boyfriend to another, to another, to another until you find yourself maybe when you're 40 years old. So you got a lot more to worry about than a dishwasher and a race car collection. You got to worry about a 2-year-old that you're supposed to be bringing up properly and setting an example for. It doesn't seem to me as if you're doing that. Oh, God. Okay. What proof do you have that your mother slashed your tires?
I had come down and stayed a couple days with my father at a local hotel, and that day they had been driving by, flipping me off, cussing me.
Who was they?
Her and her sister, her son. This was right after they had
How
stolen
old is her
his-
son?
He is 17.
Is that your brother?
Yes.
Well, then your brother. Not her son. It's your brother.
And her also. They was
Just
all
a second.
together.
It's not her son. It's your brother. So your mother and your brother and your aunt. What were they doing?
They would drive by, flip us off. They would scream things. Her and her boyfriend would circle the parking lot. The next morning I got up. The passenger rear tire of my car had been slashed.
So other than the fact that they were there the night before, you have no proof that your mother did that.
There would be nobody else that would do that. I mean,
It's very possible your mother did it. It's very possible your brother did it. It's very possible your aunt did it.
She
You
has
understand?
no friends or family, so.
I mean, do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's possible. But that's not what we deal with in court. We don't deal with possibilities. We deal with what is provable. Now, you want to tell me about this counterclaim you have for the refrigerator and the damage to the house?
I have proof here of everything that's been done to the home, and from Clinton Todd that he took the computer and the dishwasher.
but he gave those to. We had bought some other things together that were paid off, and we sat down and made an agreement, and I have it where he had signed it, what he took, and he said that would be fine since he took the things that
Let me
were
see
paid
yours.
off.
Let me see yours. Did you tell him at that time that you had met somebody else?
I hadn't met him when, I didn't even know him when we had separated.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No.
Ha, listen to me. That's not true. Who has the Pontiac Grand Prix car?
I do.
You working?
No.
How are you paying for a car?
I
listen to me. Don't give me an I. How are you paying for the car?
I was working for my father.
But you're not working now, and you didn't work last month. How did you make the last 2 payments on the car?
I made those payments.
Baloney. Baloney. All right, show me the refrigerator. I mean, that's the main thing that we're talking about. Open.
Right.
Right. Oh, she's a slob.
Yes.
She's a slob.
I have the pictures of what they done to the house when
I'm
they
just showing,
went in.
just a second. I'm not even looking at the damage to the house because I can't tell who did the damage to the house because the house, according to your mother, was open.
Right.
So we don't know who went into the house.
Right.
Right? Could have been your soon-to-be ex-husband. It could have been Mr. Todd who got angry when he went to retrieve his stuff. Just like I said to your daughter, you need proof. I don't need any proof for this. This is pretty disgusting. Whoever left the refrigerator in this condition, really just a pig. But we don't know whether your daughter was the pig or your husband is a pig. It could be that your father's a pig. It's either one of the two of you. Either you're the pig or your father's the pig. But since we can't prove that you're the pig, I can't award your mother any money on her counterclaim. So your mother is going to see to it that your son gets back his swing set, his bike, and his red wagon. The remainder of the complaints are dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Justice Case. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's case number 95 on the calendar in the matter of Raymond versus Holmes.
Thank
Parties
you.
have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Raymond, you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship and decided to lease an apartment together. The defendant moved out sometime during the lease, and you want her to be responsible for her half of the rental of the apartment. That's what the case is about. Ms. Holmes says, she was sort of forced to move out. She'll explain that to me. When did you decide to lease this apartment together?
We leased the apartment February 5th, 2001. We were living previously at another apartment complex, but it was just strictly my name on the lease.
And what prompted you to rent this apartment together?
I was naive enough to think that we might be together for the rest of our lives and maybe start a family together one day, you know? And obviously I was wrong, and...
That's the end of the story. How much were you paying in the old apartment?
I was paying $685.
And how much was the rent on the new apartment?
$870.
What was the financial arrangement as far as the rent was concerned?
That we both pay half, and we were both paying half of electricity and telephone as well.
How many months did you live there together?
Together we lived there for 5 3/4 of a month.
Let's say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, it is correct, Ms. Holmes, that you were paying half the rent.
Yes.
When did you move out and why?
I moved out the beginning of the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August. Throughout our relationship, we had many fights. It became abusive, not only verbally, but physically. And
when did it become physically abusive?
I have here, we both were arrested for breach of peace. We got into a fight. It was at the previous apartment that he lived at.
So you both were arrested for breach of the peace?
Yes.
When?
It was the day after Christmas in 2000.
Fine. Don't give me ancient history, Miss Holmes. After that happened, you moved into an apartment together, and you signed a lease. Were there any incidents of domestic violence between the two of you after you signed the lease in February of 2001?
In that residence?
Yes.
There was no actual police reports for any.
That doesn't answer my question.
There was violence.
Well, tell me about it.
It was just when we would argue, we would get into fights.
You would fight with each other?
Yes.
All right. With each other?
I would fight back because I'm a lot smaller, but there's only so much I can do to him.
All right. You would fight with each other?
To get him off of me. And
Miss Holmes, you fought with each other. Why did you move out? And make sure I get a legitimate answer, please.
Because I was afraid.
No.
I was sick.
No. That's not why you moved out. You may have thought you made a mistake and you didn't care for him anymore, but that's not why you moved out. You suddenly moved out.
I wanted to end the relationship.
Right. That sounds right.
I had had enough.
Fine. That sounds right. You didn't want to be with him anymore for whatever reason. Don't tell me what happened a year and a half before when you both were arrested for breach of peace. You didn't like him anymore. You wanted out. Did you have anybody else?
No.
Weren't dating anybody else?
No. I still to this day haven't dated anyone.
That's not the truth, Your Honor.
Just a second. Because that's what he believes in any event. All right. Now, when you moved out, what arrangements did you make with him with regard to the rent and regard to the lease?
I told him that I would pay him for the month after that I had moved out, just to be nice, to help him out, because I understood that it was a lot of money, and that after that he was on his own.
Did she have this discussion with you, Mr. Raymond?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Fine. She said she'd pay you 1 month when she wasn't there and then start looking for a roommate.
Matter of fact, she said she was going to help me out every month, not just 1 month, until it was over.
Did she pay you that 1 month?
At the end of August, yes, or beginning of August, August 1st, she did.
Okay. What kind of search did you do, sir, to find a roommate? Is not an answer.
I tried to find a roommate. My best friend was going to move into the house, but it was just a 1-bedroom, so it was very hard to live with somebody else as well as the dog that we both owned. Really, no one else could be around the dog except for me and her. And it was hard to find somebody to live with a dog that is not their owner.
Mr. Raymond,
yes.
She moved out a year ago.
Yes.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
February 5th.
When your lease was up?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my best friend.
And what's your rent?
$300.
So you did not attempt to get out of your lease?
I attempted to, but without the $350 lease breakage fee, which I have in the lease right here, they wouldn't let me even try to do it because she has to come up with $350 for the lease breakage fee as well. She wrote a letter.
She could have, listen to me, she could have, instead of giving you the $435, given them the $350 for the lease breakage fee. And then what would have happened to your rent?
I would have still been able to cover it, probably.
Okay. So instead of spending less money to break the lease, which she could have done, correct? She gave you more money for the month that she wasn't there.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me, Mr. Raymond, after a year, what brings you to court, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Suddenly, when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone.
No.
Of course.
And later today,
we have a lot of strays.
Strays are not your problem. Your problem is your two cats.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joe Raymond says former live-in girlfriend Lindsay Holmes owes for breaking an apartment lease. Lindsay says she moved out because she was scared of Joe.
Go ahead.
What brings me to court is, well, we still have relation within this year. I mean, we still talk to each other. It was on and off for the past year. And she continuously told me, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you money. And I never received any money except for that one time in August. And I found out that she was seeing a Rocky Hill police officer. And I was very disturbed of that
When
fact.
did you find that out, sir?
I found this out 3 weeks after she moved out in August. That's one of the main reasons we stopped talking at that time.
That's still a year ago, so what brings you to court now?
To get the money that I feel as if I'm owed, because I owe money to the leasing agent, and
Why?
Because I lost my job in December and I was laid off just doing snow work removal, and I couldn't afford it, so now they're coming after both of us to get the money.
When did you stop paying rent, sir?
I paid September, October, November, December.
December rent was not paid.
Let me see. Oh, I see. You paid with a bad check in November.
But it was...
Sir, so it's 2 months' rent that you did not pay.
Yes, but I had talked to the rental agent and I had explained them my situation, and they worked with me the best they could.
I have to find, Mr. Raymond, that there was some reason for her not to break this lease, which she could have done for a lot less money than she gave you for the period of time when she was there. For $350, she could have gotten her name off this lease and not been responsible at all. So I must assume that you wanted to stay in that apartment. Now, the difference is really negligible between what you were paying in your own apartment and this apartment. You were paying that yourself.
She was living there as well, but her name wasn't on the lease and she was helping me.
Helping you is not paying. You didn't take that apartment with the idea that she was going to be paying half the rent.
No.
The first apartment.
I had
right?
I had a lawsuit that I was given, and I had a lot of extra money. And then suddenly when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
No.
It's the way it works.
Got to take care of your own expenses, sir. I think that she gave you every opportunity to fill in the apartment with somebody else for the next couple of months. She tried to do the right thing. She could have just as easily gotten herself totally off the hook by spending a lot less money.
It was still hard for me to find somebody to live with. And
get over it.
All right.
Should have tried harder. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's attacked me before. I have a criminal court case pending right now against him.
I'm definitely not a dangerous man.
I want you to say anything. You shut up. Keep your mouth shut in my courtroom.
Accountant Asia Khalifa is suing her boyfriend.
Khalifa, you had a boyfriend whose name was?
Terrence.
And Terrence left you with a lot of loving memories and a baby.
Correct.
And Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
You have Terrence.
Kind of, sort of. We're still friends.
So that's why you two ladies don't like each other, because of Terrence.
Yes.
That be a fair statement?
Exactly, no.
You mean if it wasn't for Terrence, you would like her?
No.
You wouldn't like her anyway?
At all.
Did you know her before Terrence?
No.
So you met her because of Terrence?
Exactly.
So it's all because of Terrence? So the two of you
You're right.
have been feuding, because I have a claim and a counterclaim. Harassment, damage to property, damage to cars, bricks, vandalism, all because of Terrence. So my first question is, where is Terrence?
He doesn't want to be a part of this.
Just, where is he?
He's at home, at work, maybe.
What kind of work does he do?
He works for an engineering plant.
How old is he?
He's 28.
And for how long were you with Terrence?
I've been with Terrence since 1997 for approximately 7 years.
So you're still with him?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
And how old is your child?
My daughter is 3.
How much child support does Terrence pay you every month?
$400.
You get it regularly?
Yes, ma'am, nonstop.
Love it.
I do too.
So what's your problem with her?
Okay. He was cheating on me with her. She's basically just like a home wrecker.
Just a minute. Asia, I think you got the emphasis on the wrong syllable, darling. It's not her fault.
I'm aware of that.
Not her fault. It's Terrence. And yours. Because before you make a baby with somebody, you get married. That's what people do. They don't have sort of a off and on relationship and then say, well, I expect commitment, but he's not committed. Not committed to you until you make a family. Making a family means getting married and then planning and having a child, having a home. Is that reasonable in that order? Did I do it right this time?
You did it right.
So she's not a home wrecker. You had no home. You only have a home with somebody who you're married to and have a family with.
Exactly, which is why I dismissed him too.
Fine. So it's not her fault. All right. So let's get rid of the name calling. She's not a home wrecker. Terrence is a bum.
Exactly.
Good. Okay. So Terrence the bum was fooling around with her.
Exactly.
And he was probably telling her a whole bunch of stories, like I'm not with her anymore, because he was lying to you, wasn't he? When he was. So would be a fair statement to say that he was probably lying to her at the same time. So now you can continue.
Okay, February 12th of 2002, Talia came to my home. When she came to my home, she was real irate or whatever. I specifically told her, you have too many kids to be over at my house tripping with him.
What did she come to your house for?
Because apparently Terrence was telling her something that he wasn't with me. So every time she came to do her trap checking, he was there. And it made her upset.
Oh, so Terrence was telling you that he wasn't with her, is that right?
It was, the thing with him was what he wanted to leave her, but he knew that she was going to make it hard for him to leave her. So like she did when he finally left.
So what'd you go over there for?
I didn't go over there. There's all these things that I have here, or these false allegations. She is on antidepressants. She's bipolar. She has some problems that she needs to deal with.
All right, so she came over to your house, 21202. She came over to your house and you said, don't come over to my house. You got too many kids, whatever. Go ahead. Finish.
My kids have to do with that. So then she comes over to my house, and when I said that, she went across the street from my house, picked up a brick, and proceeded to bust out my windows. When I had the cops and stuff come or whatever, I gave them the description of what she had on down to a T. That is exactly who they went and picked up, which is leading up onto my next issue. She was already arrested on that charge, and that charge she pled guilty to. After she pled guilty to that charge, she's back to my house on Easter Sunday.
Did you plead guilty to throwing a brick through her window?
I did.
Yes or no?
Yes, I was left
Yes,
with a
you
choice.
did. All right. So then we have no problem with that. So she's financially responsible for that. How much was that to fix?
That was $600.
Good.
She came back over to my house on Easter. Me, my daughter, and Terrence, we were getting ready to go to church. Once again, she screeches up to my house. She hops out. She had on some little black raggedy house coat, some fluffy house shoes in there, a scarf around her head. She started blurting all these cuss words. Again, she went across the street because my neighbor has these rocks going up. She picked up a brick, came across, busted out Terrence's back window in his truck, got the other brick, hurled it at mine, and hopped on top of my truck, scratched it, and then cracked my shield and landed on top of my car.
Was she arrested for that?
She wasn't arrested for that. When she did that, she got back in her car because at the time I was telling him to come outside. At the time he was coming outside to see what was going on. She immediately hopped in her car, rammed my gate swing open like this. She ran her car on the right side of my fence, bending it, came up and ripped my screen off of my
So why didn't you call the police?
Because I was already going to court for this other thing, but that's already pled guilty, and this is something totally different, and I'm handling that.
Why didn't you call the police the second time she came back to the house?
When she Because I already had called the police on her in the first incident, and I have all my reports, and I was on my way to church, and we were meeting Sunday at church.
Oh, no, I don't believe that. That I don't believe.
Your Honor.
Listen to me carefully. Then I assume you don't want to be compensated for any
Yes, I do.
damage. Well, I'm not going to do that because I don't believe your story. I don't believe that part of your story, that's why you didn't contact the police. She came over, she destroyed your truck, she broke the back of his truck, she pulled your screens off your door, which means she got really close to your house, and for that you don't call the police, but you did call the police when she just picked up a brick and threw it through your window? I don't believe that. Next.
She kept calling my house, saying, calling me out of my name, saying, yeah, your daughter's father is my daughter's father. My name is TT.
You have a child with him too?
No, it was a possibility.
She kept, once again, she kept calling my house saying, yeah, your daughter's father is my daughter's father. Yeah, my name is TT Dunn. It don't make me none. Done as in done with. Then she kept calling, okay. Then she kept calling, saying stuff like, she's gonna F me up. She's gonna do everything in her best interest to mess us up. Yeah, he's the father, but I have papers to show otherwise that he's not the father.
She thought he was. She went down the menu and she figured out later he wasn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you want to do the model?
You can't. I don't want you to say anything.
You shut up.
You want to go on a talk show. You made the wrong turn. You keep your mouth shut in my courtroom. Do you understand? You too.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Asia Khalifa claims her ex-boyfriend's friend, Talia Dunn, owes for vandalizing her property. Asia says Talia hurled a brick through her car window.
Anything else, madam?
December 5th, I went to court. When I get out of court, I have a note on my car that says trick or treat in a cuss word with a dead bird on it. The deputy came outside of the Jackson County Courthouse and removed it.
Anything else? That's it? Okay, Miss Dunn.
Well, first of all, this has started when I did meet Terrence. As far as my baby, she called me one morning and asked me about him, and I told her, yeah, I had been with him for like the past 6-7 months, and I didn't know nothing of her. So I left Terrence alone, but I was pregnant when I left him alone. He knew that this was a chance that this might have been his daughter. That's why he never left me alone for the past 2 years. We still was involved or whatever, and we still went on and did our thing. As far as me trying to destroy them, you can't kidnap the willing. He came to me. I didn't come to him. You know, and
just a second.
Who
cares?
Right, who cares?
Did you go to her house?
No, I did not.
Well, you did go to her house once and threw a brick through her, and throw a brick through her
That first
window.
time, I had no other choice. I went and I found...
Sure, of course you did. Don't tell me you had no other choice. So you threw a brick through her window. You must have been pretty angry.
No.
You weren't angry?
No.
Okay. Then you went back to her house on Easter?
No, I was at church on Easter, and she's supposed to be Muslim, so why would she even be at church?
So you didn't go to her house on Easter?
No, I did not.
Now, when you went to the courthouse for the restraining order, did you write a note and leave it on her car?
No, I did not. That is not my handwriting. I did not put a note on her car. Okay. And where did the dead bird come from?
Now, what I'd like you to stop playing with your papers, Asia. Sorry. Now, I'd like you to tell me about your counterclaim.
My counterclaim is for harassment. One night, me and him, we had been out all day, me and my sister, and me, a friend of mine, and him were out, we went shopping. She proceeded to tell him later on that she followed us all day long. So that night, I guess someone in his family, his grandmother or step-grandmother passed or something. We were at home. About 3 o'clock in the morning, the police was called to my house. So they're bamming on the door. I answered the door, and they told me they had a third-party disturbance call saying that it was a disturbance.
You're talking very fast. I'd like you to slow down.
That it was a disturbance. So they saying that this wasn't true. They went ahead, and I told them who might have been doing this. They left. Well, about 6:30 in the morning, we're getting ready to leave. She comes out the dark parking lot down the street. I stayed up the street from the park, and you could see.
I can't understand you. You're talking too fast.
There's a park. It was a park in a parking lot right down the street from my house. You can see right there, she comes out the parking lot 6:30 in the morning where she had been all night after calling the police. She sat outside my house for like 30 minutes talking to him. I let them talk.
What's next?
I mean, she's done numerous things to me. She's called me, I'm pregnant, I'm going to F you and your stuff up.
How old are you?
I mean, it's ongoing.
How old are you?
24.
How many children do you have?
I have 4 children.
How old are they?
9, 6, 4, and 1.
Who's the father of the 1-year-old?
Her father is Cortez.
And that's the one that you thought maybe Terrence was the father of?
Well, Terrence thought also.
I'm saying you thought. I don't care what Terrence thinks.
Yeah, I thought it was a possibility.
Is Cortez the father of any other of your children?
No, he's not.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
How many children do you have?
1.
Are you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
Accounting.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a student.
A student of what?
Yes, I'm a student. I do apprenticeship for Dwayne Harvey Funeral Home in Kansas City, Missouri.
Who supports your children?
I do. The apprenticeship, they pay me. But it's an apprenticeship.
Listen, ladies, my sense is that each of you has been torturing the other over some worthless piece of protoplasm that we will call Terrence, who conveniently decides that he doesn't want to be part of any lawsuit involving you two women. He's just sitting back and laughing at both of you because you two women are fighting over him, and who knows how many other women are fighting over him. He's stupid enough to fight over him. I'm really sorry he's not here. I would have loved to have met him myself, and I know that Bird was really anxious to meet him. In any event, the damage to your window as a result of the brick incident, do you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please.
All that is together.
Okay.
Side glass, black glass lock, and 1 key. What did you need a key for?
Because when she broke the window, it jammed to where you couldn't lift my hood up.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $440. Listen to me very, very carefully, ladies. You've allowed Terrence to make a fool out of you because you're here exposing the lunacy of fighting with each other over somebody who's totally and completely worthless. Worthless, without value. How are you related to her?
This is my sister.
That you said, sit down.
Okay.
Sit down. Sit
No,
down.
but I want to say something.
You can't say anything.
In honor of
You
my
can't say
sister.
anything. You can't say anything.
She went through the bottle.
You can't. I don't want you to say anything.
You shut up.
Shh. Excuse me? Shh.
Your Honor.
Listen to me very carefully. You want to go on a talk show. You made the wrong turn. You keep your mouth shut in my courtroom. Do you understand? Do you understand? You too. I have only one provable claim. That one provable claim is for $440. But if you're going to allow this man to continue to make a fool out of you by doing anything to each other, then you're not as smart as I think you are. You're old. Quiet! You're old enough to make a child. You made 4. You have 1. You have a responsible job. Maybe one day you'll get one. If you continue with this kind of behavior, you are setting a poor example for your children, for your families, and just stop it. Say it's over. He's not worth it.
I would like for her to leave me alone.
Why don't you start listening, receiving, instead of talking?
Your Honor, you haven't listened to nothing that I have.
I
over here.
listen
She's
to
done
you.
The same thing. She's done the same thing.
Listen to me.
I have cracked windshields. I have all that same stuff.
Did she have a police? Just listen to me.
Yes, I do have a police report for that.
I don't care about a police report.
And her stalking and harassing me, sleeping in parks,
Listen to
being
me.
up and down the street all day long, and I'm supposed to keep letting her do this?
Get over it.
I am over it. She won't get over it because he's not with her.
Miss Dunn, anybody who has 4 children, starting with a 9-year-old, isn't too smart to begin with. And your conduct today just exemplifies to me that you are going to continue to be stupid. You have to be able to say, I made a mistake with this man.
To be done
or
with.
what? You keep talking. You just keep talking. I made a mistake with this man. I'm not going to have anything to do with this man anymore, and I'm not going to have anything to do with her. You owe her the money because you pled guilty to throwing a brick through her windshield. You are therefore liable. If you can tell me that she pled guilty or was convicted of any crime involving damage to your property, I will hear you. Other than that, I have no interest in hearing any of your complaints. Do you understand?
Yes,
No. Did she plead guilty to any crime against you?
She
no.
hasn't been picked up yet.
Good. She did not. Goodbye. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $440.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If she had her other men and she was kicking it, living it up like I've been doing, this wouldn't hurt her.
I put my man out. I'll let the dogs lay with the dogs. It's not about that. I don't want him.
I get up in here and this is what I get. So other words, hey, give us permission to get in the boxing ring.
I don't have to get ghetto or ignorant to prove my point, which I did today.
If it was the end of it, it would have been the end of it when he left her. She wouldn't have came at me with any more stuff after he left.
Basically, it's about class and not trash. I'm basically a diva from 816 popping my collar. Documentation really the nation. Obviously, she knows nothing about. The only thing she knows about is other people's men and wet food stamps.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hastava versus Lupo, step forward, please.
21-year-old accountant Nicole Hastava is suing her ex-fiancé, 26-year-old mechanic Christopher Lupo, for his share of a wedding that never happened.
Mrs. Hastava, you and the defendant have been engaged to be married. And according to your complaint, you broke the engagement for whatever reason, and you had an agreement with the defendant that you were each going to contribute to the wedding.
Correct.
You put down certain deposits on things for the wedding, and when the engagement was broken, the defendant refused to pay you half of the deposits, which was your agreement. In addition, you purchased a wedding dress that you claimed that you stored or left at the defendant's mother's home that he refuses to return to you. Mr. Lupo says that you did have an agreement that you were going to share the costs of the wedding, correct?
Yes, correct.
But when you broke the engagement, you kept everything. I don't know what everything is. And in addition, you kept the engagement ring.
Correct.
So he's not paying for anything, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you really want the engagement ring back, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You're a quick learner. Did you want your dog?
No, she could keep it. Just the point, like, if I wanted to take it back, she wouldn't have gave it to me anyway, but, you know, she can keep it.
Mr. Lupo, do you want your dog? The answer is no, she could keep the dog.
She could keep the dog.
But you want your personal items back?
Yes.
And the engagement ring?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have his personal items? It's not an answer,
I
madam.
do have some of his clothes at the house.
Well, tell me, what do you have?
Maybe some sweatpants. I mean, it's
Do
really
you
nothing.
have a jacket?
I didn't see the leather jacket. I did look for it, and I didn't find it.
Now, where's the engagement ring?
I have the engagement ring. I told him I'll give it back to him. I have no problem giving it back to him as long as I get the money for the from the deposits. But I did pay $300 towards the engagement ring, and I have that also.
Did she pay some money towards the engagement ring, Mr. Lupo?
Yes, she did.
How much was the ring?
$2,700, $2,500.
I'm trying to resolve this, Mr. Lupo, and I don't want you to. I don't want you to think that this is an interview for The Sopranos. Do you understand? It is not. It is not. So we're going to try to behave like this is a courtroom, and this is a serious piece of business.
She has the receipt.
Mr. Lupo, do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do, because I'm sure that you don't talk the way you're talking to me if you go and you're talking to a priest. Do you understand? You understand? You try to act respectfully, which is exactly what I expect. I expect you to act as if you would talk. Strike that. I expect you to talk as if you were talking to a doctor who just told you that he thought you had a terminal illness. Okay? Does that settle it down for you?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. Now, how much was the engagement ring, sir?
It was around $2,700.
Is that correct?
I wasn't there when he bought it.
Fine. Is it a nice ring? Do you have it with you?
I don't have it with me, no.
Fine. $2,700. And she gave you $300 towards the ring?
Yeah, because she wanted to change the diamond.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes. Next time you get engaged, sir, don't let your fiancé give you anything towards the ring. It's tacky, especially when you're spending so much for the ring.
Well, I thought she would have been happy with the diamond I gave her, but she wanted to change it. So.
That should have been something that gave you a ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Okay. So far we're down to $2,400 that the ring was worth. Now, how much were the deposits that you put down?
Half of it is $2,100.
Okay, $2,100.
$2,110.
And does your mother have her wedding dress?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I don't know where it is.
I'm sure she has it. If that's where you put the wedding dress, right, you gave it to his mother.
I left it at his house because I figured it would be better kept there.
So you have to get the wedding dress back. Do you understand? You're going to get the engagement ring back because we're going to resolve this very fast because clearly you two folks are not in love anymore, right? Well, at least if you are still in love, you're going to start at ground zero so that you can start building on this lovely relationship again if you so choose. Once you get back the engagement ring, you don't want to give it to anybody else, so you're going to sell it. Then you'll have some money to give her back for the deposits. Is that reasonable?
That's reasonable.
There you go. Look how happy we are. Now, you're going to look very, very hard for his personal property. You have some sweaters that belong to him. He's looking for his jacket. He wants his jacket back in addition to the engagement ring. Clear?
Yes.
Now, you are going to get your $2,100 24 hours after he gets his clothes and his engagement ring. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're going to give her the $2,100. Soon as.
As soon as I get my stuff, she could have it. No problem.
And you're going to get your stuff 5 days from today. 6 days from today, she gets her $2,100.
Sounds good.
Happy? Happy?
Can I just ask one question, Your Honor?
Yes.
What about the $300 that was put towards the ring? I didn't include that with the...
No, just a second.
Oh, okay.
You're absolutely right, because he's getting it back. So we have to add that on to the $2,100.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sounds fair.
By the way, just for my own interest, why did you put $300 towards the ring? Is it true you wanted a different stone?
We changed the diamond.
You wanted a different diamond. Not we changed the diamond. He doesn't know anything about diamonds. Trust me, he knows nothing about diamonds.
It looked nice.
It looked nice. It looked nice. You wanted a different diamond,
Yes.
right? And he agreed.
Yes.
Fine. Then you agreed. Nice guy. So $2,400. What else?
My records, my DJ equipment.
Everything that belongs to him.
I'll give him everything back.
You give
I don't
him
have a
everything
problem
back,
with
because because one day after he gets everything back, you
I'll
get your
get my
money.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you don't get your money. Right?
Yes.
Right? So now he's going to get everything back. Goodbye, good luck, have a happy life. But you were the aggressor with the pepper spray. That's all.
Yeah, it's Vermont. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair, because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors. So
what was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs. Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Was that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam.
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we...
I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words.
Those were her
Trash it or
words.
fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody
No,
is
it's
on
not.
heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So
Honor,
you have to pay for all the damage.
maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage is well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically the trailer's worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't you
hasn't
just live
insured-
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids.
When we moved in,
If
Your
you're,
Honor,
just a second, did you move from your family's house into this property?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up. We
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles.
Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with them?
10 of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes.
They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts.
Sherry told us
to get rid of them.
Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it
So
says...
it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I heard
when
you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in-
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
As a
there-
landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her...
May I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company, which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No. because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this, it was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. So
Okay.
we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it?
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, while we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys.
We came
but
back
I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
we had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Your Honor.
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice, go and get bills, go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that does not just need seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to 2 teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy you material and fix it. And if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean,
Give me
it's
a break.
something
How
I
much
can't-
did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
Shh, quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The
Oh,
neighbors
they don't
are-
want to know you. I got news
The neighbors
for you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We had,
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
well, in Nebraska it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because it
hearsay.
got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean, it
Tried.
didn't.
It was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
Spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught
sitting.
on fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in sub-negative 30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it
told me
starting,
she was
listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye. We understand each other. Your counterclaims dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's
Yeah, this is case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Murray versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Mary, according to your complaint, you loaned the defendant $3,500. You knew him from a previous relationship. You want to tell me when you loaned him the money, what was it for, and where did you get it from?
I loaned him the money in the middle of February. We had known each other about a year and a half prior to. We had been dating. It didn't work out. He couldn't commit. We reconciled at the beginning of the year. He came to me crying about the middle of February, indicating that his life was in danger, that if he didn't have this money, he would be hurt. I trusted him. At that point, he said that he wanted to make this relationship work. I took him for his word. He swindled me.
Where did you get the money from?
It was a tax debt that I owe. I took a loan out on my house.
I just said it was a tax debt. What kind of tax debt?
I owe the IRS money from cashing stock in. I took a mortgage out on my house.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes. He knew I was getting a loan for this money. He came to me right about the time it was about to fund.
Let me see.
Your Honor, that's false. I didn't know anything about the loan until after the fact.
He had made an agreement with me, an oral agreement, that he would pay this back before the 15th.
Just a second. Okay, and what date did he come to you in February?
On the 20th.
And what did he tell you that the money was needed for?
I have no idea. He said that his life was in danger. I took him at his word. I just saw that he was scared.
And you gave him the money in cash?
Yes. He indicated that was the nature of it.
Your Honor, I do have a bank account. I'm able to cash checks.
Just a second. How much was the amount of your tax bill?
$70,000.
Okay. Go.
Your Honor, this first thing I'd like to present this letter, actually, that I have. It shows
A letter from what?
It's a letter, actually, from the plaintiff. It shows a little bit of what her word is and with her signature at the bottom.
I can't read and listen to you at the same time. Okay, just show this to her. That really has nothing to do with this case.
Absolutely nothing.
Well, that goes to show that her word really means nothing, to tell you the truth, Your Honor. This was not a loan.
Well, tell me what it was, sir. I read your answer. Tell me what it was.
I had done work for her in the middle of last year. My brother as well was working with me at the time. He was my employee. And we had spoken with her, him and I, at the same time, were present, to do anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 worth of work on her home.
That's a lie.
Skylights, countertop, tile, replace a double door in the front entry.
Okay, so you had started to do some work on her house.
That's correct.
When did you start to do the work on her house?
I believe it was July 24th or 25th. We worked there for 3 days.
2000?
Yes.
And how many days did you work there?
We worked there for 3 days, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
On the third day, we had the job almost completely done, the portion that we were doing, and she said, I'll finish it myself. Had never given us any money for materials besides a $500 check. She had not paid us for our labor, which I had to pay my employee.
She gave you $500.
A check, that's correct. And that was in July of 2000.
I'm speaking. She gave you a check for $500, and according to you, you worked there 3 days.
That's correct.
Did you have a contract with her?
We had a verbal agreement.
Did you have a contract with her?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Because no contractor starts a job that says it's between $8,000 and $10,000. When you
she had a list.
I'm speaking. When you do a contract, you say this item is going to cost this and that item is going to cost that. You don't believe that the work that you did in 3 days was $4,000.
No, it was not. But subsequent to me accepting this job, I turned down numerous other jobs because I was going to be at this job for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
You have proof of that?
Not on hand, Your Honor.
Well, that's your defense. That's your defense to this action. So you should have proof. Now, you're telling me she just came home one day and said, I don't want you to work on this project anymore.
That's correct, actually, Your Honor. A few days before that, she had told me that she loved me and wanted to be with me. We went to her house that evening. My brother and I spoke with her on doing this work. She had a large list, pulling out bushes, skylights, numerous work around her house that she had just purchased. We told her, okay, we can start in a couple of days. We came by on the Monday of the first part of the week. When we showed up, we asked her to open the garage door so we could unload materials.
So you didn't have another job right then?
No. I told her I could be there on Monday.
Just a second. So you were free immediately?
No, I told her I could help her out.
My statement was you were free immediately. She spoke to you the week before. You were able to start that Monday. So you were free. You didn't have any other commitments.
At present, I did not at hand. She had asked me first. I had other jobs that I went to. That's the main reason why.
No. My question was, and your response is, you had no other commitments that prevented you from starting her job immediately.
No, I did not.
Okay.
My father had just passed away, so therefore I was still grieving from his death. I had been taking care of him for the first part of that year as well.
Mr. Johnson, pay attention to me. This is about money. This is not about
I
your
have a bill
father's
here as well
unfortunate
that I normally
demise.
write up for customers that I work
now,
for.
Don't you understand when my mouth is moving? There is only one voice that I hear.
I do apologize, Your Honor.
Good. Now, if you felt that she owed you money in July of 2000, why didn't you sue her?
I had spoken to my attorney on putting a lien on her house, and work picked up at that time, so I just filed the bill away that I had written up for the initial work that we had started.
Then I'd like to see the bill that you say you filled out then in July of 2000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
For the work that you started.
I do believe there's a legal term for this called quantum merit, Your Honor.
You didn't do $4,000 worth of work in 3 days. I know what the legal terms are. Quantum merit means that you are paid for the work that you do.
That's correct.
This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days.
She gave me a check for $500, that is it.
Pay attention. This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days. That's not what your answer is. Your answer is that you gave up other jobs because you had a job that you thought was going to last several weeks. That's your
correct.
defense.
That's correct.
So what are you showing me this bill for? For $4,000?
That's the work that we started doing. Halfway through that, she decided to tell us, and I'll finish the job myself, because the first day we arrived on the job, she had a new boyfriend there.
Your Honor, the reason that I... Did you remove the countertop?
That's correct.
Did you install a new countertop?
That's correct.
One out of 3.
What do you mean 1 out of 3?
There are 3 countertops. He installed one, gouged the second one, and left the other one standing in my garage.
Just a second. Is it there?
I paid somebody else to correct the job.
That's false, Your Honor. There was one section left not put in, Your Honor, and that was the sink side, and that was the day that she asked us to leave. She would finish the job herself.
I fired him because he verbally assaulted me.
What did he say?
He quoted me that the job would take 3 days, cost about $800. We're talking tile on the floor, kitchen countertops, and a kitchen sink.
The initial job that we had quoted, it was just the surface.
On the third day, my stove was still not put in its place. The countertops were... My kitchen was not functionable. He kept verbally assaulting me, making rude comments to me.
Your Honor.
Please
I don't want to hear
interrupt
any
me.
interruptions.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Please don't interrupt.
That's a lie. That's a pure lie.
It is not a lie.
Out. Him. Out. And the next time somebody speaks, I'm going to resolve this case. It's not going to be to their satisfaction.
She's a liar. That's a lie.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There is not to be any discussion between the two of you, and you are to respond to my questions. That's the way I run a courtroom. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janelle Murray says ex-boyfriend Rule Johnson owes for an unpaid loan.
Okay. You fired them.
Yes.
Did he leave a sink there?
No. I bought my own sink.
Okay.
That's false as well, Your Honor.
Show me the bill.
I don't have the receipts. I had given them to her at the time.
You're a contractor. Contractors have bills. Can I see
Checks.
it? Did you buy a sink set, faucet, and plumbing?
I did not. That was to install her old faucet and plumbing with
You
the
didn't
new
do that.
sink.
Just a second. You didn't do that.
No. That was when she called us.
Just answer my question. You didn't do that.
No.
And you didn't buy the sink.
Yes, I did, Your Honor. That's false.
And you have no proof that you bought a sink, right?
I've got my witness, which you asked to leave the courtroom.
Yeah, because he has a big mouth. He doesn't know where he is, and he's not coming back.
Well, when the plaintiff lies, I mean, it's only fair to stand up and say when somebody's a liar.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's how I resolve a case when you have a big mouth.
All right.
Thank
you. Have a nice day, Your Honor.
You may step out.
She couldn't accept the fact that she couldn't have me.
He's obviously very full of himself.
She's been obsessive after my brother. She's stalked him.
Ladies, fair warning.
She's a crazy lady.
Pretty faces and money don't mix.
Parties X. Guys, this is case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Ladante versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Ludante, it is your complaint that the defendant... What is that vacuum cleaner doing here?
That's my vacuum cleaner that's busted right now because my hair is inside of it.
Could we do something with that vacuum cleaner and take it away, please? Or just put it so I don't look at it. Props I don't need. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ladante, it is your complaint that you had a hair process done by the defendant, and as a result of the faulty process, you're losing your hair. You want him to pay $5,000 for the treatments you're going to receive over the next 5 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The defendant is counterclaiming because he says you stopped payment on the check and never complained to him about the process. That's what the case is about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. How long had you been going to the defendant's salon for service?
Almost a year and a half.
And he had done work for you satisfactorily before?
Yes.
What kind of work?
Extensions put in my hair and a bonding process.
Explain that to Bird.
It's
He
a
doesn't
powder
understand
and
it.
a glue that you put into your hair to make your hair fuller and longer.
You put glue into what part of your scalp or your...
No, it's put into my hair, into each strand.
Okay, and he's been performing that service for you for well over a year.
Right.
And you've had no problem?
No.
Good. So when did you start to have a problem?
When he gave me a $1,200 process and promised me that it would last me 9 months.
Okay. When was that? When did he give you this $1,200 process?
On April 24th.
Tell me about it. Did you go in for a normal glue job?
I was going to get, you know, the regular bonding done. He says, I have a new process for you. It's going to cost you $1,200. And he dyed my hair, and he put the $1,200 process into my hair.
I'm going to get to you in a second. What was the difference, as he explained it to you, between the old process and the new one?
Okay. It's supposed to be a protein-based glue. So instead of making my hair damaged, be more beneficial to me to have healthier hair and go back every 9 months instead of every 3 months.
Okay, so you go in on April 24th, and he gives you this expensive bonding job.
Right.
What happened next?
The 25th, I noticed my hair was all orange. I called him up. He said, come on in and I'll fix it for you.
Okay.
And he fixed it for me.
Tell me what he did.
Excuse me, Chuck?
Take the thing off.
Look what he's done to my hair.
Talk to me. On 4/26, he recolored your hair.
Right.
Has that ever happened before when
Never.
you colored your hair?
Never.
Okay. Then what happened?
He told me not to wash my hair for 48 hours from the 24th. The 26th, I washed my hair. That was 48 hours. And as I get in the shower,
Don't be dramatic.
I'm not being dramatic.
There's
It's
only
very
one drama gal here. Are those the extensions, or is that your hair?
They're both. I have pieces here from the root. Your Honor, I'm just very upset, emotionally upset.
There's no way.
I'll show you, Greg.
It's that far. When I attach it that far,
Okay.
an inch from the scalp.
Well, Bird, I'm not going to ask you to do this.
You ripped out my hair.
Miss LaDante.
Did she wash it with
This is my roots.
dog shampoo, or did you wash it with
That's
the
a
shampoo?
conversation.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis.
Okay. Now, in all that clump of hair that you have over there, you picked out one piece, and you showed me that that was a root. Are there any other hair strands there that you can identify as your natural hair?
Yes.
Just take out what you can identify as your natural hair, madam. And then I will see if I can identify it as natural hair. Perhaps Mr. Davis can.
Shall I give it to him?
No, bring it up here. Because Bird doesn't want to go touch that. Bird doesn't like to touch those things.
There you go.
Okay.
See my
Okay.
roots?
What I see is the extensions came off, and I see some dark hair.
That's my root.
Okay. All right. So of all that mess over there that you have over there, this you say is your natural hair.
Well, some of it in here is...
Not all of this is your natural hair. This is extension.
Yes.
Take the rest of that clump there, put it back in where it belongs. Very good. The whole thing.
This too?
That's all came out.
This all came out.
It's all came out. So it's not your hair. This came out, which is the process that he put on. This is not natural hair. This is not your hair. This is somebody else's hair, or some
human hair.
Somebody made this from a sweater or something. I don't know. Okay. Now, let us assume, Miss LaDante, that it is true that the extensions that he put in came out.
Yes.
And you paid him $1,200. So why are you suing him for $5,000?
Why?
Yes.
Okay. I need hair integration.
Show me.
Okay. I have a bill here for an estimate of doing $1,004.
For what?
For hair integration. It's
What's
right
hair
here.
integration?
It's almost like a wig, but it's not.
You don't need a wig. Is that your natural hair?
No,
Listen to me.
half of it isn't, half of it is.
Madam, why don't you just cut off the extensions that you have in your hair? Yeah, I'm looking at the top of your hair. Top of your hair looks thick, looks fine. You know, you may need a little bit of a touch job right over there near the roots, but we're not talking about that. It looks as if this is healthy hair. You don't expect him to pay for another process, for another integration process for your head. He's not going to do that.
Integration has no bonding, no glue, no nothing.
So, you want a different process? Go get a different process.
I'm in the marketing business. I have hair falling in front of my customers.
Why don't you cut? It's not your hair. Why don't you just cut off the extensions?
This never happened before until he did this process.
Listen to me. Your hair isn't falling out. Your extensions are falling out. The extensions are from here down. Is that right?
Right.
Cut them off.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Ladante says hair salon owner Greg Davis owes for damaging her hair. Lisa says after receiving hair extensions, her real hair fell out.
Okay, let me hear you.
Chuck called me and said, let's talk about this. I said, okay, what's the problem? He's like, well, Lisa's petrified of you, da-da-da. I'm like, Chuck, come on. She's been coming to me for a year and a half. I said, why hasn't she called me before now and said, you know, Greg, this is a problem. She knows it's not real hair. He's like, you know, come on, let's negotiate the price. And I said, what do I look like, Monty Hall? I did the service, she signed the check, everything over and done with.
She stopped payment on your check. So you did not get paid for this process.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your counterclaim, sir, for this money is denied, and I'm dismissing your claim. You, however, listen to me very carefully. You didn't pay for the service. If you had paid for the service, I would have awarded you the full amount that you had, in fact, paid him. But you stopped payment on the check. You were dissatisfied with the service, so you are out no money.
My hair is damaged.
It may be damaged, madam. Do you have...
You make your appointment, it
Shay.
doesn't happen.
All right, I'm going to take care of it very easy. Don't show me papers. You have a witness here to testify?
Yes,
He wasn't even there. He was not even there.
Yes, he
I
was.
want you to be quiet. Who are you?
Why?
I'm her fiance.
Are you a hairdresser?
No, I should.
Sit down. You have someone who is an expert in cosmetology, who is a licensed hairdresser, who will testify that they examined your hair and that your hair, as a result of this process, was damaged irreparably. Do you have such a witness? No. Then your case is dismissed because you have already been compensated by the fact that you stopped payment on his check. You are not out any money. He should not receive any money. But I, quite frankly, don't see why, if you take this hair that is not yours and cut it off, do your roots a little bit. That's just my suggestion, and I am not really an expert in the area. Put a little conditioner in your hair. It may be just fine. If you are going to continue to put glue and stuff in your hair, it's going to continue.
I didn't put glue in my hair. He did.
He didn't drag you in off the street, madam. Now, I don't think that that process can be good for your hair. You dye your hair. You put peroxide in your hair, you put glue in your hair, you put bonding stuff in your hair, and you expect your hair to be healthy. It ain't going to happen. You have my verdict. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just don't want anybody in Daytona Beach to ever let him do extensions and let this happen to them.
You can see by her roots that she don't even go and have her hair done on a regular basis.
I did not do my roots due to the fact that I was told not to touch my hair, so he, the phony, would not blame another hairdresser for what he did.
All parties on Habib versus Fields. Step forward, please.
27-year-old tutor Nafisa Habib is suing her ex-boyfriend's friend, 28-year-old bakery worker Anise Fields, for smashing her windshield with a baseball bat.
Ms. Habib, both you and the defendant have a child.
Yes.
And that child was fathered by the same person.
Yes.
So that's how you know each other.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would assume that you don't like each other.
I have no problem with her.
Well, then you think she doesn't like you.
I guess, yes.
Because it's your claim that she smashed the windshield of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this take place?
On January 12, 2001.
Where?
His uncle's house, where he was staying there at the time.
This is the father?
Yes.
Of both children?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any other children?
Yes, I do.
How many?
4.
4 other ones?
4 children altogether.
Altogether. How old is your child?
My child is 3.
And yours?
He's 3. My child's 1 month older than her son.
Tell me how it happened that you happened to be in the same location.
January 12th, he called me and asked me to bring over my daughter. He doesn't see her a lot, so I brought her over.
To where he was staying?
Yes. While we were there, I was downstairs in like the lounge area in the basement, and he was upstairs. And I heard some banging on the door. I thought he had locked himself outside the house. So I called upstairs, Rude Boy, did you lock yourself outside?
What's his name?
Rude Boy. By that time, he came downstairs. He said, Anise is outside.
Anise?
Yes.
That's you?
Me. Yeah. I said, are you going to let her in? He said, no, she's upset. She's going to want to fight. I said, fight who? That's when she busted the basement window. She had a bat in her hand, and I saw her. Rude Boy ran upstairs. I stayed downstairs. They were outside. I heard her yelling, what do you think, I'm stupid? Is she in there? Is she in there? I heard him yelling. He said, I'm going to call the police. He came in the house. Apparently, she left. He came downstairs. He didn't call the police. We started cleaning up the glass. At that time, I said, Rude Boy, let me drop you off at work. When I went to my car, opened my door, I saw the glass on my seat and saw she bust my windshield. I switched cars with my father, and I went to her house. She invited me in. We talked for a while. The end result of the conversation was that Anise said she was going to pay for my windshield when she got her school money because she didn't have any money at the time. The very next day, after Anise busted my windshield, she called me and she apologized continuously. Nafisa, I'm sorry, this is not me. I don't go around busting girls' windshields. I felt sorry for Anise because I know how it is for a brother to allow you to believe that it's all about you and it's not all about you. So I felt sorry for her. I said, no problem, Anise, when you get the money.
So, bottom line is, you saw her with the bat break the basement window.
Yes.
But not your car window.
No.
But she did, in fact, tell you that she would pay for it. Okay, let me hear you.
She's lying. Basically.
Why don't you just tell me what happened? You
I wasn't there. No, I was not there. No.
Just a second. Are you telling me that you never went to the house?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
I think you have to come up with a better story than that. I'm going to tell you why. Because I believe her when she says that you came to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I believe her when she says that she saw you with a bat in your hand and that there was glass downstairs at the basement window. So I think we're going to start over again.
She's lying. He lives there. So he was there. So he can tell you. I was not there.
All right.
She's lying. I don't know. My basement window never got broke. I don't know how you could see somebody break the basement window from the basement. I don't know what she's talking about. Prior to this, she said I broke her window, busted her car up. She told my grandmother I did it. She let a friend of mine use her car. He crashed her car up. She said I did it. I don't know nothing about what this is about.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, Miss Judy, Judge Judy. I'm trying to be calm because I want to cry because I cannot believe that Jamar would sit up here and lie. He was supposed to watch Hanifa, but he said that he couldn't watch her. I didn't even know he was going to be here. Rude boy, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Shh. Don't talk to him.
I'm
Can
sorry.
I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Judge Judy, he also told me, Rude Boy himself told me that Anise had intentions several times to pay you for your car windshield, but things that came up. When I went to her house, I met her mother, I met her daughter, Asia.
You brought your daughter
I
to
met
my
her
house.
son.
No, okay, just a minute. Wait.
Oh, God.
I can't believe you, Rude Boy.
I can't believe you.
Oh, it's over.
Never was anything.
Whatever, Rude Boy, whatever.
If you talk amongst yourselves, you're leaving.
Excuse me.
Tell me why you reported this to the police 2 days later.
Well, I believed Anise. When she said she was going to pay me for the windshield, and when she called me the very next day after it happened, I believed her. I believed her. My father said, Nafisa, cover your tracks. If you get a police report, then at least you have that in case you have to take her to court. I did not believe it was going to have to go this far. It's only $183. I'm not asking her for cab money or the inconvenience she put me. My sister had to come and get me several times to pick up my children. I worked 2 jobs. I raised 4 children by myself. I don't have time for this. This is so juvenile.
Mr. Jones, do you currently have a relationship with any of the 3 or 4 women?
This one here.
This
No,
one.
he doesn't.
Shh,
I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize.
No.
I'm sorry.
So you currently have a relationship with Anise.
Yes.
How long have you had that relationship with Anise?
Since last year, we started dating each other and being in a relationship last summer.
How many children do you two have together?
1.
Your other 2 children, do they have the same mother?
No.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher aide, bus aide.
Nothing. Shh. I'm sorry. I apologize. He's lying. I'm sorry.
Well, how was she taking me to work if she came over?
Just listen to me.
She's making up stuff.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry. I understand. I apologize.
Teachers' aid, bus aides don't
Yes.
make a lot of money.
Small money.
Small money doesn't make 4 children.
No, I make 4 children, but my money take care of my children.
Impossible. Impossible. Okay. Do you work, Anise?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a bakery.
How many children do you have?
5.
Do all 5 children live with you?
Yes.
You make a lot of money in the bakery?
No, I don't. I also go to school.
How is your family subsidized?
From me working and going to school.
How much money do you make at the bakery?
I make $5.50 an hour.
$5.50 an hour gross does not support 6 people, and he certainly doesn't make enough to support you and your children. What kind of work do you do?
I tutor children full-time, and I work at a floral shop part-time.
How many children do you have?
4.
What other support do you get for your children?
I receive food stamps, and that helps a great deal.
How old are your other children, Mr. Jones?
10, 2.
So you have a new child, not with either one of these 2 women.
Yes.
And shortly after that child was born, you renewed your relationship with Anise, Is that right?
Yes.
Excuse me, miss.
Shh. $183 is what the windshield cost you?
Yes, ma'am.
Pay it. $183. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Vincent Miller versus Crowell. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Amber Vincent and her boyfriend Josh Miller are suing 24-year-old computer technician Roger Crowell for breaking her windshield with a softball.
Who was driving the car that day?
I was, Your Honor.
And whose car is it?
Mine, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, you're driving your car. It's a 1995 BMW, minding your own business, and all of a sudden you see a ball come towards the car, smashes your windshield. And it is your claim that the defendant, who was playing softball on that day, was at bat and responsible because he hit the ball that was responsible for your broken windshield.
Correct.
He says it wasn't him, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, once your windshield was smashed, tell me exactly what you did.
Well, first, I would like to point out, as I was on the decline of the hill that was parallel to Centennial Middle School, I actually noticed the ball players playing ball. And as I was driving, you know, I see, if my windshield wasn't there, I could have literally caught the ball with my hands. Shatters the windshield, bounces off. I don't know where it went. I pulled right in. And from that moment, the first person I saw was a woman in a van with a bunch of kids. She, in turn, was the coach's wife who was there and pointed out Mr. Kroll as the person who had hit the ball. She said that she saw him hit the ball. She
Can't
heard
tell
it
me
hit
what she
something.
said. That's all hearsay.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's not true either, Your Honor.
Well,
Listen, we're not talking about an intentional act here, sir. Okay. Do you understand? We're not talking about an intentional act. You weren't aiming, or whoever hit the ball wasn't aiming for a car. You were aiming for a home run, or whoever hit the ball was aiming for a home run. So you get on the field where they were playing ball.
Well,
and you have, just a second, and you have a discussion with somebody in a car. And how long did this discussion take?
I was still discussing stuff with her in and out of conversation until after the police had arrived and departed the scene.
Now, when you arrived, did you see who was at the plate?
Yes.
Hitting who?
It was Mr. Kroll.
And you pulled into the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did it take you a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? How long did it take you to pull in?
30 seconds. I mean, it hit and the driveway was right there. I pulled in, parked the car. It was actually, I don't even remember if I left it. I think I left it even running when I got out of the car because I was just frantic.
You're telling me that when you pulled in, you saw the defendant at the plate?
Yes, he was holding the bat, standing at the plate.
That's
okay.
not true.
Shh. Don't say anything else until I ask you a question. Understood? Good. From where the person who was at bat is holding the bat and where your car was originally hit, is that in front of it? I mean, what I'm trying to figure out is, would have been a foul ball, or would that have been a home run?
It was, I asked who had the home run swing.
Just a second. So that would have been a home run.
Correct.
Now, I am not really a sports aficionado. However, am I correct, Bird, that if one hits a home run, what one does immediately is drop the bat and start running around the bases? You do that immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball takes off.
Yeah.
Right?
In
You see it go, and you start running.
That's right.
You get where I'm going?
Yes.
Just a minute. Okay. You get where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
So, took you 30 seconds to get in. According to you, when you got there, he's standing poised.
Correct.
To bat.
Not poised, standing there holding the bat, almost in anticipation of my arrival. It was during softball practice.
No.
It wasn't
Okay.
a game.
No. Now, Mr. Crowell, I have a couple of questions for you. Would you do me a favor while I'm getting it? Would you just get the estimate of the windshield?
Sure.
I'm sure she has that as on the paper. Tell me about this league that you play with, sir.
We played in a county softball league. It was co-ed.
So you are part of a team?
Yes, I was the coach.
Okay.
I arranged the team and everything.
Fine. And how long has this group been playing together?
We started practicing in April.
Same group of guys and gals?
Yes.
How many are on the team?
At the time, there was probably 15.
Are there dues?
Yes, there were.
And what are the dues?
Well, it was $20 for each player for the players' fees, and then the team registration fee came out to be, if you had 15 people, $20 per person, and our sponsor paid the sponsor fee, the team registration dues.
Okay. You get where I'm going? I'm not sure you get where I'm going, so I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
Because this is not really a very difficult case. I don't know whether you were at bat or whether you weren't at bat. It really is not relevant. You were the coach of the team, right? You put it together.
Yes.
Put the lead together. There is the question in my mind that the plaintiff's car was hit by a softball that somehow emanated from your team. Now, we have a totally innocent party, and that's this team over here. Totally innocent. They're driving along. And on the other side, we have some guys and gals who are playing softball, and certainly without intention, one of their members was responsible for a ball getting away. Who do you think should pay?
Well,
Take a deep breath before you answer that question, because we're talking here about responsibility. Not necessarily your individual responsibility,
right,
sir, but we're talking about baseball in a windshield, baseball on a baseball field.
I was willing to investigate the matter because we didn't know if the county would pay for it, since it was an organized practice and we're playing on their fields. So we wanted to look into that, and of course I was going to do that. There was also a gentleman that had been hitting before who had hit quite a few balls over the fence, and there was a couple...
From your league?
Yes.
Yeah.
None of them struck anything. None of them, you know, they all bounced off the road, and this guy probably shouldn't have been hitting up there anyway because he's probably the best hitter on our team, but and being that the fence is so near the road.
Let's get on with it. Who do you think should pay for their broken windshield?
Not me.
Your team. Not necessarily you if you say you didn't hit a ball that far. And it's very possible that you didn't. And even the guy who was hitting before you, I'm certain didn't intend to cause any damage to anyone. But you got innocent people and you got the team responsible. So you take up a collection, you tell everybody, kick in $25, we're going to pay for the windshield. Period. End of discussion. Have an estimate here for $300.52. Judgment for the plaintiff. Get it from your team. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. All parties in the matter of Anderson versus Liebler, step forward, please.
22-year-old homemaker Shauna Anderson is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old clerk Caleb Liebler, for an unpaid loan for bail. Caleb says he paid her back.
Miss Anderson, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours.
Yes.
There came a time when you were angry with him about something. And according to you, you knew that he had stolen something.
Yes.
A stereo, a car stereo. And in order to get back at him, you told the person from whom he had stolen the stereo that he stole the stereo. Is that right?
It wasn't really to get back at him. I knew the person. And
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You weren't being a good Samaritan.
No.
He was arrested.
Yes.
And you felt a little bit guilty. So you decided you would help him out and bail him out.
Yes.
The bail money was $500.
Yes.
Then, according to you, he asked you if he could use that bail money to pay his lawyer.
Yes.
You said, okay, but
Yes.
it's a loan.
Yes.
Now, you, Mr. Liebler, acknowledged that it was a loan.
Yes.
Your defense is that you paid her back.
Yes.
Okay? So now we have the facts, and now you have to show me how you paid her back. Right?
Yes.
When did you take the $500 and give it to the lawyer? What date?
Sometime in April.
April
of
5th.
2000.
Of 2000?
Of 2000. This case is 14 months old.
When did you pay her back?
I paid her back from that point on until I left for jail at the end of August.
How did you pay her?
I paid her in...
Now look at me. Don't look at
I'm
the
sorry.
sky.
I paid her back in payments. We worked together at Friendly's. We lived together.
From April until August?
Earlier than that.
He did not live. No.
I lived with her
Don't
in that
speak.
residence from February until May.
When did you start paying her back? After you separated?
I started paying her back after I left.
After you left the house?
I went back home, still working with her though, at Friendly's. We ended up getting back together.
Okay.
I did not move back with her. I stayed at home, but we were together.
You saw each other?
Right.
fine.
And whenever she needed money on the weekends, she'd come up to me saying, "You owe me money. I need money this weekend. I'm broke. Can I get paid? You know, can you give me something?" So I would give her $60, $80 here and there. She does not have a license. She doesn't have a car.
Don't go into extraneous stuff.
I'm
You
not.
would give us $60, $80.
I'm not.
You have to tell me when.
When? On weekends, Fridays, Saturday nights.
May
Like,
2000. I don't want to hear from you now. It's up to him to convince me that he's paid you back. So I have weekends, $60 or $80.
Yeah, from the end of May through June, on weekends, Friday, Saturday nights. She comes up to me at work. "I want to go to a rave. I want to go to the club. I want to go out this weekend. I have no money. Do you have something for me?" Would she even ask me for a receipt? But I'm being at work. I'm a cook. I'm greasy and stuff like that. I'm not going to take a receipt and stuff in my pocket. So I just never asked for a receipt. I would give her money on weekends. She lived a half an hour from her job, so there was certain times where I'd actually give her money for hotel rooms to stay in, so she did not have to drive back up to Saratoga, you know, to go home. Because she doesn't have a car. Sometimes we'd work until 2 o'clock in the morning. I paid for hotel rooms just for her to stay in.
You stayed in them too.
Right. Right?
Sometimes.
All the time.
Not all the time.
Miss Anderson, stop doing the weave dance and keep your mouth closed until I ask you a question. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
What else, Mr. Liebler?
What else? I'll have to say that while I was living with her, there was many expenses.
No, I'm not talking about before. Before May, I'm not interested in.
I gave her money, handouts, whenever she needed it.
Handouts is not the return of a loan.
But that's what it was in terms of. That's what she'd bring up.
Just a
She'd bring
second.
up, "You owe me money."
Mr. Liebler, you added in this pot motel rooms that you paid for that you also stayed in.
No, not all the time.
Yeah. How many times?
I'd say twice. I'd say at least twice. At
least twice, maybe 3 times.
No, twice.
Well, get a receipt. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Next time, get a receipt.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yes.
And now the next case.
All parties on Arredondo versus Bradley. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Genevieve Arredondo is suing her former friend, 22-year-old telemarketer Tylen Bradley, for the cost of a tuxedo rental and a traffic ticket.
Miss Arredondo, you know the defendant since high school, according to your papers, for a long time. You were friends, maybe a little bit more. You claim a series of small loans to the defendant over a short period of time, several months ago. One for some tickets and then one for a tuxedo rental. The whole big case is about $150.
Yes, ma'am.
So the two of you must not have anything special to do with your time other than come to court over $150, but I'm prepared to hear you. When was the first loan?
July 21st of 2000.
For what?
The tuxedo rental for $68.78.
What was that for?
Mr. Bradley was participating in a wedding, and he was unemployed at the moment, and I told him I would let him borrow the money so he could buy the tuxedo.
You didn't buy a tuxedo?
Rent the tuxedo, I'm sorry.
Put it on your credit card?
Yeah, I did. Yes,
okay, you wore the tuxedo?
Yes, I wore a tuxedo.
Did you ask her for the money for the tuxedo?
Well, actually, what had happened was we was discussing it, and I had told her what had happened to why I wasn't able to get it, and she told me, well, if
Why
you need
weren't
help.
you able to get it?
Well, because at the time I wasn't employed regularly, and also I had some money stolen from me that I had saved to get it, and so she said, well, she'll be able to help me. Well, she didn't actually know at the time if she would be able to, but if she could, she would. Then she came back to me and said that she would be able to, and so I accepted because I was going to be best man, so I needed a tuxedo.
Did you say you'd pay her back?
No, at that time there was no discussion of me paying her back.
Why not?
Because, as my understanding, she was doing it out the kindness of her heart.
No. Did you say to her, that's really very nice of you. When I have the money, I'll pay you back?
No, there was no, like I said, there was no discussion of any repayment.
When did he say he would pay you back? Look at me.
He didn't say a specific date.
He didn't say, I'll pay you back. Did you expect to go to this wedding with him?
No.
Didn't think he was going to ask you to take you to the wedding?
I thought he would have asked, but he never did.
Right. You thought he would have asked. Paid for the tuxedo, maybe he'd ask you to go to the wedding, then you'd go together. What's the next one? Come on, let me hear.
A month later, he had an outstanding ticket, and he told me he didn't have the money again to pay it, and he said if he didn't pay it, he was going to get a warrant for his arrest. So my stepbrother gave me $80. I put it into my account, or $88. I put it into my account and made a check to Metropolitan Court, and I gave it to Mr. Bradley.
And when did he say he would pay you back?
I just said, whenever you get a job, you can pay me back.
Is that what you said to him? Whenever you get a job?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, where are you working?
Right now?
Yeah.
MCI, man.
When did you get that job?
In January.
So why don't you pay her back this money for the ticket?
Because it wasn't a loan. I mean, the whole reason why I think that she even wants the money was because of the fact, like you going back to the wedding, was that I did not invite her.
Okay, forget the wedding.
Okay,
forget the
wedding.
tuxedo.
Okay,
I don't believe that was a loan.
Okay. So,
But
I mean,
if you have
back
a
to
warrant issued for your arrest, and you can get out of having the warrant issued for your arrest by getting $88 from her, you take $88 from her, why don't you give her back the money?
because again, it wasn't a loan. I mean, she just did it like to help me out.
Why would she want to just help you out?
Because I mean, we were friends. I mean, maybe she thought there was a little bit more. Maybe she wanted a little bit more, but we were just friends. And the whole talk about repayment wasn't brought up until I had moved in with the mother of my daughter. Then that's when she started saying, "Well, I need to be paid back. You need to pay me back. You said you was gonna pay me back."
If somebody helps you out because they like you and they don't want you to go to jail, then the honorable thing to do, the nice thing to do, but most of all the honorable thing to do, the just thing to do, is to pay him back the money. Now this tuxedo business, as I said to you, I think she thought that she would get to go to the party with you. You didn't invite her. That wasn't really nice. However, it's different when you say, unless you give me the money, I'm going to go to jail.
No, I did not say that to her. She asked me what happens if you don't pay it. Then I told her that.
What did you tell her?
Then I told her that it'll turn into a warrant. Eventually, I would go to jail.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $88. Get a life, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused.
কোম্পানি বাণিজ্যিক অধিকার ও বাণিজ্য বিস্তার ১৬৫৭ সালে বাংলার কোম্পানির পৃথক এজেন্সি প্রতিষ্ঠিত হওয়ার পর থেকে ওয়েস্ট ইন্ডিজ কোম্পানির বাণিজ্যিক দ্রুত প্রসার লাভ করতে থাকে। কেননা ১৬৫১ সালে বিনা শুল্কে বাণিজ্য করার অধিকার লাভের পর থেকেই কোম্পানির বাণিজ্যিক ইস্পাহা বৃদ্ধি পায়। এরপর থেকেই কোম্পানির বাণিজ্যিক ক্ষেত্রে অধিকতর পুঁজি বিনিয়োগ করতে থাকে। অর্থাৎ পুঁজি লাভের ১৭ বছর পরে বাণিজ্যিক শুল্কে বিনিয়োগ করতে থাকে। ফলে ১৮ শতকের প্রথম থেকেই কোম্পানির বাণিজ্যিক বিপুলভাবে বৃদ্ধি পেতে থাকে। এরপর হলো কোম্পানির জমিদারি লাভ। ওয়েস্ট ইন্ডিয়া কোম্পানি ১৬৯৭ সালে সুবাদার আজিমুস খানকে ১৬,০০০ টাকা নজরানা দিয়ে এবং বার্ষিক ১১৯৪ টাকা ও ১৪ আনা ৪ পয়সা সরকারি রাজস্ব প্রদানের বিনিময়ে ১৬৯৮ সালে সুতারি, গোবিন্দপুর এবং কলকাতার এই ৩টি গ্রামের জমিদারি স্থল লাভ করে। অর্থাৎ আজিমুস খান ছিল হচ্ছে কলকাতা আর গোবিন্দপুরের ৩টি গ্রামের জমিদার, আর তাকে ১১৯৮ টাকা এবং ১৪ আনা ৪ পয়সা দিয়ে গোবিন্দপুর ও কলকাতার ৩টি গ্রামের রাজস্ব লাভ করে। এরপর ১৭৬৫ সালে কোম্পানির কর্তৃক দেওয়ানি লাভ। বস্তুত ১৬৯৮ সালে জমিদার পূর্ণ বিকাশ মাত্র। শুধু তাই নয়, ১৭১৭ সালে মুঘল সম্রাট ফখরুশিয়ারের নৌকর থেকে অনুমতি নেওয়া হয়। মানে আজিমুস খান হচ্ছে কলকাতা ও গোবিন্দপুর ৩টি গ্রামের জমিদার, আর তার কাছ থেকে জমিদারি আদায় করে তারপর আবার হচ্ছে সম্রাট ফখরুশিয়ারের নিকট থেকে অনুমতি নেয়। যদি অতিরিক্ত ৩৮টি গ্রামের উপর জমিদারি স্থল লাভের কোম্পানি ব্যর্থ হয়, তবুও তারা কলকাতার আশেপাশে বেনামাতে জমি ক্রয় এবং তথা শহরের সম্প্রসার ঘটাতে থাকে। অর্থাৎ গ্রামগুলা তারা শহরে রূপান্তর করে। এভাবে জমিদার লাভে কোম্পানিকে এদেশের রাজনৈতিক আধিপত্য বিস্তারের পৃথককে প্রশস্ত করে। চতুর্থ, তারা পৃথককে সুশান্ত করে দেয়। এরপর বাণিজ্যিক কুটিতে দুর্গ নির্মাণ। অর্থাৎ বাণিজ্যিক আকারে তারা বড় বড় ভবন নির্মাণ করতে থাকে, যেটা বাংলায় অভ্যন্তরীণ বিদ্রোহের সুবাদে সুবাদার ইব্রাহিম খান বিদেশি কোম্পানিগুলোকে তাদের স্ব প্রধান কুটিতে দুর্গ স্থাপনের অনুমতি প্রদান করে। এদিকে সুবাদার ইব্রাহিম খান ছিলেন আবার ওই গ্রামের আরেকজন হচ্ছে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বী, যার অনুমতিতে কোম্পানিগুলোকে স্ব প্রধান কুটিতে দুর্গ স্থাপনের অনুমতি দেওয়া হয়। এর সুযোগে ওয়েস্ট ইন্ডিয়া কোম্পানি 1696 সালে 57টি কুটিতে ফোর্ট উইলিয়াম দুর্গ নির্মাণ করে এবং পরবর্তীতে দুর্গটিকে সামরিক সরঞ্জামাদি এবং অস্ত্র দ্বারা সুরক্ষিত করে তোলে। অর্থাৎ আগে তারা দুর্গ নির্মাণ করে, তারপর সেটাতে সামরিক সরঞ্জামাদি এবং অস্ত্রপাতি